What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. We are making the turn on this week of ours, halfway through already. Appreciate you making us a part of your start and joining us as you're up and at it. Whether you are listening on the radio dials, you got a couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Streaming it up online at sportstalk1051.com, WAYYradio.com. Got the video stream up and rolling on YouTube, your smart devices, and of course, smart devices and the app. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Brew Crew falling just a bit short last night in what looked to be a pitcher's duel through the first half of the game, but it would be Jacob Mizorowski that faltered a little bit first. He was locked in right away at the beginning of the game, striking out the first 5 batters, ended up with 10 Ks. But it would be that sixth inning where it started to kind of fall apart. Ended up walking his last 3 batters, bases loaded, and gets taken out of the game. But still, Red Sox taking advantage of that. And so Jacob Mizorowski does get charged with the loss, going 5 1/3, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, 10 Ks. So, but Brewers tried to get back into it. They followed it up by putting up a couple runs in the 7th, but it wasn't enough after a 3-2 loss by the Brewers. So, they'll try to get back to it and win another series as they take on the Red Sox in the rubber match this afternoon, 12:35, first pitch between these two ball clubs. So hopefully they can kind of continue their starts of the season where they're just winning series, but they're going to be going up against a familiar face in Shane Gray, and the Brewers going to be thrown out, or Sonny Gray, because Brewers are throwing out Shane Drowan, calling up Shane Drowan, and he's going to be making his major league debut. So Brewers going up against a very familiar pitcher from over the years with the Cardinals and such with Sonny Gray, but Brewers maybe trying to catch the Red Sox off guard a little bit with this youngster with a lot of talents. But again, with a lot of these younger pitchers that the Brew Crew have this year, a little bit of an unknown too. Potential is there. Guy's got a lot of talents, but we just don't know, right? We don't know. But kind of an interesting move here for the Brew Crew, calling up another left-handed pitcher that the Brewers will be throwing out there. So we'll preview this game and look back at last night's game as we get set for this series finale. And then the Brewers will return home, off day tomorrow, before taking on the Washington Nationals. But in this highly competitive division, the NL Central, with that loss, not only do the Brewers drop to 8-3, but not only they're in second place, the Reds are all also off to an 8-3 start to begin the year. You got the Pirates, who are 7-4. Cardinals 6-5. The only team that's under 500 so far is the Chicago Cubbies. So, but plenty of baseball talk here this morning. So get your thoughts in. You can hit us up with a quick text at 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can hit us up on the Section 105 chat room on our video stream. Hoops-wise, Bucks fell last night to the Brooklyn Nets, which is probably no big surprise. But they'll be going up against the Pistons tonight in a big obstacle. I was going to say big game, but it ain't a big game. It's just a big obstacle at that point. But that may not be the biggest news from yesterday. Nothing really in terms of Giannis. But Doc Rivers, I think, kind of really gave a big hint of what his future is going to be after this season. He was asked pregame about coaching again and such, and it was one of those where he said, I won't answer that But he kind of did, because he said, I won't answer that, but I have grandkids that I want to see. I'll put it that way. And so I'll let you figure it out from there. I have 7 grandkids now, and they're all 8 years and under, and it kills me every time I miss Grandparents' Day with each one of them in school. It's probably time to go see them more. I'll let you figure out the rest. So there you go. We know, right? I don't, without answering, I can't think of another way or a more clear way to say, yeah, I'm not going to be back next year. There you have it. So Bucks sure look like they're going to be looking at a new head coach. And with that, would you just kind of maybe wipe out the whole the ownership really likes John Horst. I mean, they blocked him from going to the Pistons or interviewing with the Pistons. Was it last year or the year before? Gave him an extension and such. But the way everything's kind of going right now, would you just wipe everything clean, bring in a new front office, bring in a new head coach? Or do you run it back with your front office? Obviously, it sure seems like it's going to be a new head coach. I think we're at the point now that we would be, or at least I would be, incredibly shocked if if Doc Rivers comes back. But I guess it's not official until it's actually official. So, but at least it sounds like we're going to have that change. But so we'll talk some hoops. Speaking of hoops, yesterday UW-Eau Claire officially announcing Hannah Iverson as their new head coach for the women's basketball team. So, but good to see that the Eau Claire North product coming back home. Not that far with being stout and such, but did see that yesterday. We had some baseball. We had, for high school and such going on. North picking up a win. Memorial boys picking up a win in baseball too. So good to see Carson Park getting some baseball action at it. Next month we've got Express, so that'll be good. And Blue Gold's coming up here too. So, but what else do we have in the docket here this morning? We'll continue our Packers chat as we take a look at a couple more potential prospects as the NFL draft will begin here in just a little over a couple weeks. But we'll continue our countdown series of potential prospects, potential picks by the Packers. Obviously not first-round picks, but we kind of expanded it. Was kind of focusing on, rounds 2 and 3. But now that we've got a little bit more info of some of the players that the Packers are bringing in their top 30 visits, we're kind of taking a look at those guys too. They wouldn't necessarily be round 2 picks. They could be undrafted guys. They could be later round picks. But there's always something to it when Green Bay does bring in some players on top 30 visits. So kind of expanded and going to be taking a look at some of those players as well. So that's coming up. I want to have a little bit of a fun topic because on this day in 1974, now I wasn't around. Some of you were, but I wasn't. But it was this day in 1974 that a gentleman by the name of Hank Aaron, hit home run number 715. Even though I wasn't around, I've seen the video multiple times. It's playing in my head right now. The home run, the trotter on the bases, the fans. It's an iconic image. It's an iconic moment in sports history. So once in a while, there are those sports moments that just live in our brain. It could be just a historic moment like that. But maybe for the rest of you, what's a sports moment, a historical moment? And maybe it's not one of the, top moments in sports history, but it's big in your memory. What's that one that you always kind of think about or is always at the forefront of your mind? And it could be pro, it could be college, maybe it's high school or whatever the case may be. But what's a moment? We have these world moments, right? Where it's the phrase, I remember where I was when this happened, or I remember watching this, or I remember what I was doing, or something like that. We use that a lot for world history moments. But what if we did it for a sports moment? What was something that happened in the sports world that is just kind of, you would say, at the forefront of your mind or at the top? That you always kind of like, where you can almost remember everything about that day or everything about that particular moment. And maybe it's, again, it doesn't have to be a big, one of the top sports history moments of all time. Maybe it's just something related to the Packers. Like, for example, I'll just throw this one out there. I remember the majority part of my day when Favre retired from the Packers. March 4th, 2008. I remember waking up because my roommate woke me up and all he said, college roommate said, watch the TV, and he walked out. And I remember the rest of my day going to classes that day, that night, watching ESPN nonstop. So it's March 4th, 2008. Why I remember that is just, well, it was Packers, it was Favre, right? So stuff like that. Kobe Bryant passing away. I remember exactly where I was at. That sort of stuff. So I just thought seeing that today was the day that Hank Aaron hitting home run number 715. It's one of those moments I would imagine for a lot of people out there. Sports historical moments. What are some other ones? I'd like to see a list of everything out there. So send those on over. We got a little Inside the Hobby segment. Ty from the Slab Factory is going to be joining us around 8 a.m. So we'll hit that up. It is a Mike's Star Markets. Am I wrong? So what's your sports take? What's your sports opinion? Where you would say, am I wrong for thinking that? Am I wrong for saying that? Also, it is a high V game changer. So in the past week or so, what was a move? What was a play? What was a player? A game that you would nominate for our high V game changer of the week. So that's your game plan for us this morning. Let's get at it, shall we? We'll take our first break, and we'll get things started off on the leadoff. We'll talk a little Brewers baseball. Brew Crew falling last night. The Miz, solid up until that sixth inning. But take away a lot of positive things from his start last night. We knew it was probably going to be a pitch, at least on paper. We knew it was going to be a pretty darn good pitching matchup, and it lived up to that billing up until the sixth inning, and just both pitchers maybe just, wearing down. Now we get Shane Drowan making his debut today. Another one of those young pitchers that the Brewers acquired this offseason. Lots to break down and recap, so let's get at it. We'll take our first break, and we'll talk some baseball coming up after these quick words. Hey, sometimes accidents happen, but getting your vehicle back to normal doesn't have to be stressful. And at Superior Auto Body, they specialize in getting your vehicle looking right again after dents, dings, or collisions. And the best part, they handle the insurance process for you, working directly with your provider to make things simple and hassle-free. No runaround, no confusion, just quality work and a team that's got your back every step of the way. Get your vehicle back on the road with confidence. Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, where the job gets done right. Brew Crew yesterday again falling to the Boston Red Sox 3-2. Jacob Mizorowski does get charged with the loss, but yeah, dude was looking good in the first few innings. I mean, striking out his first 5. He ends up with 10 total Ks. It was just those 3 walks in a row in the 6th inning, at bottom of the 6th, is just what killed it. In a game that was obviously a pitching duel between him and Garrett Groshette, and it lived up to that potential. Any little mistake like that with issuing free passes, free base runners, it tends to kind of bite you in the behind, right? It bites you in the butt, and it did last night for Jacob Mizorowski. So you could just kind of tell that. And dude, pitched nearly 101 pitches total for the Miz kid last night. And you could just kind of maybe tell that the mechanics were falling off. Maybe just the fatigue was settling in. You could tell Contreras was trying to, work with him with his mechanics and that. And we can always kind of tell, right? Like Miz has a tell when mechanics are a little bit off in how he comes off the mound after throwing that pitch. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Like if you watched it, he has these little tells when he knows too that that was off, or that pitch was way off. We could tell, and that was clearly evident in that 6th inning. And let's call a spade here too. The lineup that the Crew threw out there in the game last night wasn't their big offensive power lineup. Yelly did not get the start. He did come in as a pinch hitter, got an RBI and a fielder's choice. Contreras did start, but there was no Bryce Terang, and there was no Garrett Mitchell. I mean, going up against a left-handed batter, they opted to go with a lot of the righties and such. So, not saying that's an excuse. I mean, the Brewers did out-hit the Red Sox in terms of total hits, 5-3 and such. But, maybe making things a little bit more difficult for Miz by not giving him run support when you're not able to start the game with Yelly, who's been hitting really good, Garrett Mitchell, who's been hitting good, and obviously Bryce Terang. But it's the job of the other guys to step up. Step up to the plate and rise to that challenge. And they fell a bit short last night. So, but bigger picture, I think, if we're looking at some of the positives from this thing last night, you look at the Miz going over 100 pitches, striking out 10 again. When he was dialed in at the beginning of the game, I mean, he was throwing some nasty stuff. Slider was working. Obviously, the loss is the most important thing, but I think you could take a lot of positive things away from the performance of Jacob Mizorowski last night. And I think you continue to build off that. We've gotten 3 starts now from Mizorowski. And last night, that was the most earned runs that he's allowed in his 3 starts. 2 against Tampa Bay in a no decision. 1 in the opening day start against the White Sox. If there is something that has kind of maybe popped up that you'd like to see a better job of or an improvement from is definitely the walks. And you look at 4 total from last night. You can't have that happen, especially 3 in a row in the 6th inning in a 0-0 game in the most inopportunistic times, too, in that game. But the strikeouts, 2 of his 3 starts, double-digit strikeouts. 7 against Tampa Bay. I mean, those are up. So I think, with the first 3 starts of Jacob Misiorowski this year, has he exceeded your expectations? Has he kind of met them? Maybe he hasn't. Maybe you want better from him. He is the league leader in strikeouts so far with 28. So, I mean, that's living up to the hype there, right? But when you look at walks, too, Misiorowski is one of the league leaders. He's tied for 4th. Gavin Williams has given up 14 walks. Bubba Chandler has given up 10. Jacob Lopez has given up 10. And Miz is with a tie of a few pitchers with 9 walks issued. Maybe take a little bit of the good with the bad. But I think, honestly, I kind of feel maybe slightly above the expectation for me for Jacob Misiorowski. I wouldn't say he's been like, oh, dude, this is going to be a guy that's going to win the Cy Young this year. I'm not ready to say that. But I think from a strikeout number, and you look at the 3 starts, he hasn't really had that game where it was just, okay, he's not on. He's all over the place. The command wasn't there from the start. I don't think he's had that. And you look at the pitch counts that he has had in these games too. 94, 101. He's had a couple of innings in those games where the pitch count gets up, and maybe that's what derails him from going a little bit longer in these games. But for the most part, I like what I've seen so far from Jacob Misiorowski. I think there's a lot of solid stuff to build on and a lot of stuff to be excited about. So Brewers will be going up against Sonny Gray in the rubber match. And Sonny Gray so far in 2 games this year. He's coming off of a win against the Padres where he went 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Back on the 28th of March, he went 4 innings, 3 earned runs, 6 hits, 5 strikeouts against the Cincinnati Reds. But as we know, the Brewers have quite a bit of experience going up against Sonny Gray. A lot of these players have double-digit ABs going up against Sonny Gray. That includes Jake Bauers, who has 16 career at-bats, hitting .375 with a 1.037 OPS. Contreras, 15 at-bats, .333 average, and a 708 OPS. Sal Frelick has struggled against Sonny Gray, which is a little bit weird because lefty versus righty, but he does have a home run, 17 career at-bats, 4 RBIs, but a 176 average and a 603 OPS. Joey Ortiz, 16 at-bats, does have a homer against him, 250 and an 857 OPS. Bryce Harang, 18 career at-bats, 333, 757. And Christian Yelich, no surprise, has by far the most experience going up against Sonny Gray. In 31 career at-bats, has a home run, 258 average, 827 OPS. I would imagine that you can see a left-handed heavy lineup. When that lineup card is released, Yelly's going to be back in there. Bowers is going to be back in there. Garrett Mitchell's going to be back in there. Bryce Harang's going to be back in there. That's what you're probably going to see quite a bit of. Very left-handed heavy going up against Sonny Gray. Let's talk about who the Brewers are going to be throwing out there, though. Shane Drowan, one of their new pitchers that they acquired this offseason. It's kind of a big unknown, right? Let's do a little bit of a scouting report on him, shall we? We got to take a quick break, though, but we'll be right back after these quick words. Road trip season is right around the corner. Are you and your vehicle ready to go the distance? Before you hit the highway, make sure that your vehicle is in top shape with the help from AJM Automotive. From oil changes and tire checks to brakes and engine work, their experienced team will make sure that you are ready for wherever the road may take you. And now with 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire, getting your vehicle serviced has never been easier. Plan a trip. AJM Automotive will handle the rest. Visit ajmautomotiveservices.com to schedule your appointment today. Got a few texts here. Throughout the question, if you're just joining in, throughout the question at the beginning, because it was this day in 1974 that Hank Aaron hit home run number 715. And we talk about, those moments in sports history. Or we talk about those moments in world history that, oh, man, I remember exactly what I was doing or where I was and that sort of thing. And it's like, okay, what about like from a sports side of things? What are some of the moments that you remember exactly where you were at, maybe a majority part of that day? Got a few people. Tim in the Cooley region says, I remember Masters Sunday in 2012 when Bubba Watson won. My uncle called me that day to talk about the Masters as he knew I was a Bubba fan. This started a tradition that we talked every Masters Sunday, no matter who was winning. He passed away several years ago, but I think of him every Masters Sunday. Thank you for sharing that story, Tim. That's an awesome story. That's really cool. Thank you, Tim. Surveyor says, good morning, DK. I remember everything about the day the Badger football team beat number 1 Ohio State at Camp Randall. I remember my breakfast, 2 bananas. My college rugby team played at St. Olaf that day, and we won 62-5. I scored twice. I remember having to take my buddy to the hospital for stitches because he split his left eyebrow open. After that, we went to the social where both teams were singing songs, and I walked upstairs to my room, where another group of guys congregated to watch the game. I walked in right at kickoff to watch David Gilreath return it. After the game, though, gets a little fuzzy with copious amounts of daddy sodas consumed from celebrating both wins. I do know that I woke up with a garden gnome in my bed the next day. Oh, that's a good one, too. Our good buddy Mark says, I can tell you where I was when Hank hit number 715. I was a junior in high school and had given a female friend a ride home and was sitting in my car in front of her house. I had been watching that game on TV, but missed seeing that moment, but I did hear the radio broadcast on the car's radio. As an added note, my steady girlfriend at the time heard I had given this other girl a ride home, and let's just say she did not like it. That's another awesome story. Tim, Surveyor, Mark, thank you. Those are fantastic stories. Thank you for sharing that. The rest of you, what are some other sports moments that you remember exactly where you were at or what you were doing? What's something that, you could just remember like it was yesterday? Continue to send those on over. We're going to go through some more throughout the morning here. So, all right. So today, Brewers 12:35 rubber match against the Boston Red Sox. Can the Brewers continue their streak of winning their series to open up this season? And, the Brewers are going to be throwing out one of their new pitchers, Shane Drowan, who's a Red Sox prospect too. But left-handed pitcher set to make his major league debut. Drowan became the Brewers' 25th ranked prospect after the Caleb Durbin trade. So he's going to be making his debut against the team that he was on. We'll see how he goes. I mean, he was primarily a starter. If we kind of look back at his minor league career with the Red Sox as such, he was primarily a starter. He made 11 starts at AAA. He did make one start for the Brewers in AAA before being called up. He gave up 2 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings of work in that outing. He has made 4 appearances this spring, and he's posted a 4.26 ERA and 12 2/3. He's got some good stuff. and such, some nasty stuff potentially. So, it would be Chad Patrick's start for this game, but he is technically coming off of a little bit of short rest because they played a doubleheader on Saturday. So I wouldn't be surprised if Shane Drowan, maybe he is like that initial out-getter or the opener or whatever the heck we want to call it. And maybe Patrick comes after that, or maybe they just kind of go with the bullpen game. So we'll kind of see what Shade brings to the table. But I remember when this trade went down, there were a lot of people liking the potential of what Drowan could do, of what he could be. And we're going to get a glimpse of that. Now, it's kind of like Brandon Sproat. I hope nobody is really down on Brandon Sproat right now. Obviously, his first 2 games, not going that great, right? They haven't been that great. But I hope nobody is ready to say, well, that trade didn't work out. That thing didn't work out. And, Kyle Harrison was a big talk with, he looked like to be the piece of this deal with the Red Sox and Caleb Durbin. But there were a few that were like, watch out for this kid. Watch out. That might be the wild card of this trade. That might be the piece that maybe we're talking a little bit more about later on. And just kind of looking at one of his scouting reports, his fastball, it's about 92 to 94 miles per hour, does top out at 96. He's got a cutter that goes 88 to 90. He's got a changeup that goes 83 to 86. A curveball, 76, 79. He also throws a slider between 82 to 86 miles per hour. One of his reports sums it up by saying, potential quality major league depth arm capable of pitching multiple innings or in short relief, ceiling of a multi-inning bridge arm or leverage reliever, athletic left-hander with a diverse arsenal and distinct shapes. At his best, he will flash 3 bat-missing secondaries to complement his fastball and cutter. Fastball shape and effectiveness took a step forward in 2025. Continued development of his cutter will be key for him going forward to have a chance to pitch multiple innings. Stuff took a step forward in short bursts in 2025, but he struggled to stay healthy again, and his stuff backed up some after he returned from injury. This was mostly from, at the beginning of this year and last year. Even with diminished stuff, he was still effective, but questions remain whether he could stand the rigors of a full season workload. So again, it just kind of paints the picture that maybe this is potentially going to be a bullpen kind of day, a little bit of a piggyback starts with somebody else. Brewers do have the off day tomorrow, so that could factor into this thing too. But I'm excited to kind of see what we have. And maybe it's just one turn through the rotation. And if they could get, 2 innings with him and it's one turn through the rotation, maybe 2. But I'm excited to see how it goes for the kid, because there is some optimism from people that know a little bit more about, or a lot more than I do about Shade Drowan and these pitchers and such. So I'm excited. C-Bomb, a.k.a. Chadwick, a.k.a. Thurston Howell III, August 5th, 1999. I remember standing in my bedroom holding my son, who was 8 months old, when Mark McGuire hit number 62 to pass Roger Maris. I remember cheering so hard and telling my son that that's the first big sports event in his life. See, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Another fantastic story. Awesome. Keep these coming. What's the sports historical moment that you remember like it was yesterday, that still is in your mind? We'll take a quick break, and we'll start to wrap up the first hour coming up after these quick words. Looking for the perfect place to kick back this spring and summer? Well, then you need to head on over to the VFW Post 305, Eau Claire's go-to spot to relax, grab a beverage, and enjoy the moment. Inside, it's a great place to meet up with friends, but when the weather warms up, hey, it's all about the patio. With one of the best river views in town, there's no better place to soak up the sunshine, to unwind after work, or spend a weekend afternoon. Cold drinks, great people, and a view that you can't beat. That's VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire, your spot to hang out this season. We got about 8 minutes left to the top of the hour. So we'll get back to more baseball talk throughout this morning as we get sets for the rubber match with the Red Sox today. So Shane Drowan going to be on the mound here. We were talking a little bit about Jacob Misiorowski. 3 games in to Jacob Misiorowski. How would you assess? Is he kind of hitting the expectation that you had for him to begin the season? Maybe below, maybe above, exceeding it? What are your thoughts on what you've seen so far from the Miz kid? So we'll talk plenty of Brewers throughout the rest of this program. I do want to talk a little Bucks, not necessarily with the Bucks losing last night, but Doc Rivers' comments. He pretty much admitted he's done after this year. Said he wasn't going to, but he pretty much admitted that, he's done. He's done. So, with him being done, would you, if you were the owner of the Bucks, just wipe everything clean from front office to coaching staff? Just wipe it all down. How would you handle that? So, we'll hit that up. Continue to send me your Mike Star markets. Am I wrong? Your Hy-Vee game changers. We got a little Inside the Hobby coming up at about 8 o'clock. Ty from Slab Factory is going to be joining us again. So we'll get to that about 8 o'clock here this morning. So, and I do want to chat some green and gold as we continue our Packers potential draft prospects. So a few of you have chimed in this morning, but since it's like big day in sports history with Hank Aaron hitting number 715. I'm just throwing out a fun question. What's a sports history moment that you remember like it was yesterday that is, just maybe the biggest one that you could think of? Maybe it's the biggest sports moment that you've personally witnessed, or what's just something that you can almost remember every little thing about it. Every little thing about that day, right? We have those days in world history, but what about from a sports sense? Because I wasn't around with Hank Aaron. That was a big, but I could still, from the video clips and watching it, it's replaying in my mind right now. Just watching him do it, watching him go around the bases and such. So what's a sports moment that you personally witnessed on TV, maybe listened to on the radio, maybe you were at that? Man, I can remember everything about that day. We've had some really good stories coming up or being sent through. So big thanks for everybody for sending those on over. Continue to do that because we all have one. It may not be the biggest, sports nuggets in the world. Or I shouldn't say nugget. It might not be the biggest sports history thing in the world, but maybe it was big to you. So, again, like for the Ice Bowl, I wasn't around, but that probably would be one with the sneak. So, all right, we'll get to some more of your picks coming up a little bit later on. Nick says, Bucks need to clean house. Now, when you say clean house, Nick, do you mean roster-wise too? Just like wash it down with a power washer, get rid of everything, and just do a deep old spring cleaning? Everything from front office to coaches to players and just start over? Or are you doing like what we would used to do as kids and, you're being told to dust the shelves and you dust, but you dust around it. You don't pick up everything and you just dust around it. So maybe it's like, okay, yeah, the front office and the coaching, but the players, keep the players. I'm good with the players. How much of a clean down do you want to see? So, a couple more of you saying definitely a new coaching staff. I'd be okay. This is from Ben. I'd be okay if they keep John Horst for another year. And Steve says get rid of the GM and head coach, start over new. So, all right, keep them coming. Well, I know you all got some opinions and such. So, but we'll see if Giannis. What, we only have 3 more games? Yeah, I don't think he's playing tonight. But will he play in that home game? That final home game coming up here. So, just a couple minutes left. Good morning, Morgan.
Feel like doing some Wednesday wild card action?
Sure.
You guys are talking about cleaning house with the Bucks. Do you clean your house, or are you just in charge of the man cave?
No, I clean the house more.
What's your most hated and task you don't mind doing? Like if you had to pick one of each.
I hate probably either the bathroom or dusting.
Everyone
hate dusting.
Hates that. Yeah. What do you not mind? Like actually, what do you prefer to do? Because I hate floors. Like I really detest.
I don't
floors.
mind. I don't mind that.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
They're perpetually dirty.
No,
nothing ever works.
That would probably be Veronica. She hates that part.
Yeah. See, let me guess, because she's the one who does it all the time.
No.
All right, Wednesday wild card. What was a favorite toy you had as a kid that kids don't play with anymore?
Ninja Turtles.
Okay, we had one of those. I think it was called a Bop It. This is like a death trap. You put it on your foot like a loop.
Yep.
And then you skip or skip it. Maybe it was called a skip it.
Yeah.
And then you would just try.
Yeah,
we just
Bop
tried.
It is that handheld game.
Right.
Yeah.
Skip it. And then we would try to basically hit each other in the ankles really hard until someone cried. That was fun.
Yeah.
What do you think you would like Hudson to play with now that he doesn't, that you had? Because I'm sure he's a Ninja Turtle kid.
Not anymore.
No?
He's gotten rid of all that, all the Avengers stuff. He's straight up sports.
He purged everything?
Yep.
Oh.
He sold everything and he bought.
Where does he hustle? In the back of a trunk?
He sold it on his grandma's garage sale and he used the money to buy a new bat.
All right.
So
how's the new bat treating him?
That's pretty good.
Getting closer to the fences every time?
Yeah. No.
Siggy's going for a first home run this season. We'll see if it happens. 5 things you enjoy doing with your wife.
I only have 30 seconds left.
Well, you better make it fast.
Earn 5
your
things that
husband
I
card.
enjoy with my wife. Traveling.
Tick 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 tick.
Venting about stuff.
Okay, for 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Venting about stuff. Gosh, that's hard.
Tick 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 tick.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
You guys are gonna have to talk when you get home.
We might have to have therapy.
You're gonna have to talk. Sorry about that one, B.
Yeah.
If you had to pick 5 things solo, you'd have no problem.
Oh, all right. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Thanks, Margs. What in? We've got 3 more to go. We'll be right back after these news updates. All right, second hour, kick it off right now on this Wednesday morning, making the turn Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us, if you're already up and at it and tuning in and already chiming in and sending in your analysis, your commentary, your thoughts, your opinions, we appreciate it. Coming up this hour, I want to get to a little Bucks chat here in just a skosh, so we'll get to that in about an hour or so. We'll get sidetracked by C-Bomb's toy pick there. We're going to talk with Ty from Slab Factory for Inside the Hobby. So, also, we'll do a little Hy-Vee game changer. Looking for your picks, all right? Looking for your picks. What do you think is the Hy-Vee game changer of the week? Whether it's a player, a play, a move, or something. What do you think is the Hy-Vee game changer of the week? Plus, give me your Mike Star markets. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for saying this? Am I wrong for thinking that? What's your sports opinion where you would say, am I wrong? So, what else do we got? We're going to get back to some more Brewers talk as the Brewers, just a few hours from now, 12:35, first pitch going up against the Boston Red Sox in the rubber match. We get Shane Drowan making his Major League debut going up against a team that had him last year. So, we'll kind of a little bit of excitement. Sonny Gray is going to go on the other side. Brewers very familiar with him. So, we'll get back to some more Brew Crew chat throughout the rest of the morning here too. So, but yesterday, before the Bucks game, the Bucks did fall to the Brooklyn Nets. They're going to be back at it tonight, taking on the Detroit Pistons. Doc Rivers was asked, about his future, how much longer he wants to coach in the league. And I think if you poll the majority of Bucks fans, they're hoping that the now newly minted Hall of Famer isn't back on the sidelines for the Bucks next year. And it sure sounds like Bucks fans, you got to get your wish, because he said, I won't answer that, but he did. I won't answer that, but I have grandkids that I want to see. I'll put it that way. And so I'll let you figure it out from there. I have 7 grandkids now, and they're all 8 years and under. And it kills me every time I miss Grandparents' Day with each one of them in school. It's probably time to go see them more. I'll let you figure out the rest. All right, so he ain't back next year. We know that. He said it without saying it. He ain't back next year. So for Bucks fans who want to see changes or want to see, stuff get scrubbed down and just kind of rebuild everything, and it starts with the coach, there you go. He ain't coming back unless there's a change of heart and the Bucks really want him to come back. But I mean, if you're a Bucks fan, at least maybe you got your checklist of things to do in this offseason. And with a new head coach, you're probably putting check. Going to be there. Is it going to be Darvin Ham? Is it going to be somebody from outside the organization? Do they just need to start fresh, completely fresh? And with that, if they're going to have a new head coach, do you think the Bucks should have a new general manager calling the shots? You think that they should bring in a different voice, even though they really like John Horst? They gave him an extension. They essentially blocked him from interviewing with the Pistons last year or 2 years ago. Do they think, all right, we kind of have to move on from that? I will say this, Joe Mazzulla, who is the head coach of the Boston Celtics, and in one of Lori Nichols' great pieces, Giannis mentioned Joe Mazzulla and how they're doing this year, and they didn't have Jason Tatum and such, and he credited Mazzulla. And Mazzulla was asked about it yesterday. So, about Giannis's comments about him. And Mazzulla said, obviously he's a great player, but I think my reaction was like, you can't do anything unless you have the players to be able to do that. And I think that may sound, I say it a lot, but it's just that simple. I think the greatest gift you could have as a coach, especially in the NBA, is to have a group of players that have a high competitive character, care about winning, and want to get better. I think it starts there, and so that was kind of my response to that. And this, again, goes back to Giannis's comment when he told Lori Nickel, like you quote, like you saw, I talked with Coach Joe Mazzulla. I said, you had so many opportunities to make excuses, but you didn't. And he said, oh, they're good players. I said, no, it's about the mentality that you installed in your place. Mazzulla went on, though, to say we had to kind of get to the knowns. Like, what do we know? We know that Jaylen Brown is going to lead. He's going to get better as a player. He's going to get better as a leader. He's going to be in position. He thrives in situations like this. When the deck is stacked against you, you got that chip on your shoulder. JB thrives on that. We know that. We know here are all the players that we have for opening night, what they've done for us. Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser have won games for us. So we just know the nose. We knew Tatum was going to do everything he could to get back from a torn Achilles. We knew that. And so with all those knowns, it's like, okay, here's where we're at and how we go about this. I think it was just kind of getting on the same page with Jaylen, getting on the same page with the guys that were returning, getting on the same page with where Tatum was in his rehab and saying, okay, this is how we have to go about it. And it's a credit to them. I think sticking to that, and we got a long way to go, but here's where we're at. You look at that Celtics, and that's where I look at that team, because you look at the offseason that they had. Tatum was, he tore his Achilles towards the end of last season. They still had Jaylen Brown, but then they made a lot of changes, right? Drew Holiday, gone. Porzingis, gone. They moved a lot of pieces. And like many, I was one of them, and a lot of us thought, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a down year for the Celtics. You throw in the Pacers, going to be a down year for them. Is this an opportunity for teams like maybe the Bucks, the Knicks, to take advantage of that? And yet, here we are. Celtics kept winning games. A little off to a slow start to begin the year, but winning games. One of the top teams in the East for majority part of the season without Jason Tatum. And now Tatum's back, and would it surprise anybody if the Celtics win it all or even go to the NBA Finals this year? Heck no. And Mazzulla giving a lot of credit to Brad Stevens, front office, in finding the right players, finding the players to buy in. It's not always about it. I think, sometimes we as fans get so, it's like, oh, it's just about talent, getting all this talent, adding all this talent. Talent. Load it up like it's Madden. Load it up like you're playing a video game and just get all the talent that you possibly can. That can win you some games, but that's not the be-all, tell-all. That's not where a lot of successful teams thrive on. It's not just who has the most amount of talented players on their team. To me, it's a team is, you need a little bit of talent. You probably need a couple of go-to guys and, your main players and such. Role players, guys who buy in, guys who fit, guys who have the mindset, that makeup. Putting together a team is more than just accumulating all of this great talent. And that's where the Celtics have done just a fantastic job. The Spurs were like that too back in the day. Yeah, they had Tim Duncan. You throw in Manu Ginobili, who might be one of the best six-mans of all time. Tony Parker. Bruce Bowen. You throw those guys in, smart moves, sneaky moves that you look at it like, okay, that doesn't really move the needle. But, man, now you look back at it, it's like, dang, that was a really good move. Even like in the Bucks when they won it in 2021, bringing in a guy like P.J. Tucker, trading for Drew Holiday, for crying out loud. Smart moves like that. And you just kind of look at some of the stuff that the Bucks did, and they tried. I know they were hampered with money and contracts and such, but did they put together the right pieces? Is it more on the coaching side? Is it more on the talent side? Is it more on the front office now building that team? There was a lot of inconsistency this year, and I just don't know if everybody had a chance to kind of grow together, whether it was injuries, whether it was weird rotations and lineups, or whether it was the right makeup of players. I believe it was all of the above. Not to cop out or anything, Yeah, I feel like it's all of that. And it's nothing as simple as, hey, we just got to go out there and load up on all these guys. I mean, for crying out loud, look at, like the Houston Rockets, okay? Rockets were a surprise team last year, one of the top teams in the Western Conference. Then what they do in the offseason, they acquired Kevin Durant. They're still going to make the playoffs, but are they a better team than what they were last year? It's kind of questionable. Heck, the Detroit Pistons of like the 2011, 2010? No, not even 2005, excuse me, like 2005. It was a boring team. One of the most boring NBA finals I remember watching was Pistons and Spurs. But it was a team. You had Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Prince. But they were getting it done. They were a team. Really good players. But you could tell that was a team. And who'd they beat the 1 year? Was it the 04 NBA Finals? Who'd they beat? Lakers. Shaq, Kobe, and what'd they do? They added Karl Malone and Gary Payton. They won a ton of games, and they made the NBA Finals. But it was the Pistons that beat them. Mark says, Ice Bowl. I watched it on our family black and white TV at our house on the west side. It was also my 11th birthday, December 31st, 1967. Boy, Mark, with that and the Hank Aaron one, you're aging yourself, man. We've got Chadwick, a.k.a. C-Bomb, saying best toy I had. Jarts, actually lawn jarts. Nothing like giving kids weighted 4-inch needles to chuck way up in the air in the yard and try to land it in a hoop. How many kids had their heads impaled in the 80s? Jeez. What an awesome game they need to bring back. Good luck with that one, man. Good luck with that. All right. Let's take a quick break. But, hey, send me the sports moments that kind of live in your head, live in your mind. What's a sports history moment that you remember practically everything about that day still? We all have them. But what's a moment? Maybe it's from high school. Maybe it's college. Maybe it's from the pros. Whatever it may be. All right. Probably have a few of them. We'll take a quick break. Plenty more to get to coming up after these quick words. Baseball is back, and that means one thing. It's also brat season. So swing on into Mike's Star Market and stock up for game day the right way. From fresh and a wide variety of flavorful brats, they've got everything you need to fire up that grill and feed the whole crew. Whether you're tailgating or maybe doing some backyard grilling or just catching the game at home, nothing says baseball like brats on the grill. Make every pitch, every inning, and every bite count. That's Mike's Star Market on the west side in Eau Claire, your home for brat season. So let's talk a little football because it's kind of football-ish season, too, with the NFL draft just a couple of weeks away. First round will kick off 2 weeks from tomorrow as we get set for that. I don't know about it feels like the draft's kind of quiet leading up to this. I don't know if it's because maybe it's a local thing, Packers-wise. We don't have a first round. Maybe not a lot of intrigue at the top of the draft or anything like that. Or maybe it's just because last year was Green Bay and it was all the excitement around here too, so maybe a little bit of a letdown. But starting to see more of the top 30 visits and all that, so that's getting me a little bit excited too. So
you know what else? First of all, brats.
Yeah.
Man, you were making my mouth water with that. I honestly was sitting there, I'm like, I could go for a brat right now.
Well, you were making my mouth water showing me victory scotches last night. So,
you know, as I said, some days just getting through the day and getting a lot of stuff done, it's worth a victory scotch. Yep. So, yeah, scotch and brats.
Yeah.
I think that's what we need to do.
That's the Wisconsin victory combo.
That is a pretty good victory combo. But I'm kind of with you as far as the draft goes, but I think it's all of the above. Mm-hmm. I think last year, obviously, the hype around the fact that the draft was coming to Green Bay. This year, Green Bay with no number one pick, and little intrigue at the top of the draft. So yeah, I'm getting into it though. Yep. I've got my board and some guys that I like for Green Bay. So and I think this is a critical draft, and I also think for Green Bay, but I also think that. I don't think Goody's done. And you and I have talked. I still think there might be a veteran or two that he goes after either right before the draft or right afterwards. So, but, this is one of those drafts where you don't want to draft for need, but Green Bay has some needs. Mm-hmm. And you look at the cornerback position, you look at defensive line. I think offensive line is always going to be there. Also running back. Right now, there's no backup running back to Josh Jacobs to speak of. Chris Brooks is there, but we know Chris Brooks is there really more as a third down back, pass blocker, that type of thing. So, yeah, there's some needs on this football team. So I say, I think Green Bay is probably going to go the direction of best player available at a position.
And you mentioned running back, and we kind of talked about one yesterday, the kid from Arkansas.
Mike Washington Jr.
Yeah.
Love him. Mm-hmm. Love him. 6'1", 230, 4'3", 40. Mm-hmm. Right now he's a guy, Packer 30 visit guy, and I love him. And right now I've got him going to Green Bay in the third round. I think he is the perfect complement to Josh Jacobs. And again, I love Josh Jacobs. I think he's a workhorse, and I think he carries the G, so to speak. But I think a lot of tread on the tires, and I think Emmanuel Wilson did a real nice job last year. But I think Green Bay, to be truly dynamic, I think they need that second back. So I'm a big Mike Washington fan, and when you look at film of him, he's a bigger Aaron Jones. He reminds me of a bigger Aaron Jones, the way he runs. He also seamlessly catches the ball, so brings a little bit of everything to the table. I don't know if he'll be there in round 3 at pick 84, but that's right now who I'm looking for Green Bay.
It's interesting. We've always talked about the top 30 visits, and Green Bay kind of does it differently than a lot of teams. It's not always the first round guys and such. And more so this year, it's kind of interesting to see who they are bringing in on their top 30. There's a mixture of guys that may be going undrafted or later on or mid-round and such. You mentioned one of those visits. Has there been any other names that have kind of popped up for you? I mean, it's been a really big mixed bag. Receivers, linebackers, defensive linemen.
Yeah, when you look at it, there's a couple of guys out there. First of all, they've got Charles Demings, cornerback from Stephen F. Austin coming in. He's a kid I really like in a mid-round. But then you got a guy like Josh Geske from Illinois, who's probably looking at an undrafted or 6th or 7th round type of thing, offensive lineman from Illinois. So, yeah, they're all over the place. Texas Tech quarterback Berthan Morton. You know, there's a kid that's coming in for a 30 visit. So, yeah, and, you know, I think it's always hard to tell if Green Bay is looking at, okay, let's make sure we have our bases covered from the undrafted standpoint. The Senior Bowl for me is always, I think, more of the litmus test for Goody. It seems to me that guys who Green Bay shows interest in at the Senior Bowl tend to be on their draft board. So, you know, that's looking back in it, you know, I always look at, okay, who was at the Senior Bowl? Who did Green Bay speak with? Those types of things. And so, but yeah, they've always looked at these 30 visit types of things. It is a mixed bag. It is a mixed bag of guys who could be in that second round pick. You know, somebody like a Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker from Texas Tech. You know, somebody like that could be there, but also you say, okay, this might be an undrafted guy. We want to make sure we're covering our bases.
We had a question from Nick yesterday. He threw out there when we were talking a little green and gold, and I'll throw it to you too. What would be your reaction, let's say, if Green Bay drafts a receiver with the first, second round pick? To me, it almost says, does that give us an inclination about Christian Watson and Jane Reed's future?
Probably.
Contract-wise?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. You know, I also at that point would applaud Goody. If he really, truly sticks to his board. Look, you look at how Seattle and John Schneider has drafted. And through the years, you know, they've drafted guys at least through the years that since rebuilding after the Legion of Boom and all that kind of thing. That they put together a team, obviously, that you know, won a Super Bowl, but also you look at it and you say to yourself, they never really drafted for need. JSN, not a need pick for them at the time. And so I think Green Bay needs to lean into that John Schneider-esque a little bit, and I think Goody's done a good job. I think Goody is not drafted for need, but when you do reach, that's when you start having issues. And if you look at Ron Wolf, and you look at Ted Thompson, and you even look at Goody, and you look at the reach picks, they tend to not work. So if Green Bay drafts a receiver in that second round and they truly feel that that was the best guy on our board, I have no issue with it. That also tells you a little bit about what they think of the future of Watson and or Reed. I
want to go back to, since we're on offense, Matt LaFleur in one of the comments that he had made from the owners meeting, and he said that, you know, we're going to start like it's year one to kind of reignite this offense. When he says that, I'm sure some fans are like, "Oh my God! Like, what? Why are we doing? Why are we got to start all over again?" and that sort of thing. But I mean, does it make sense from your perspective that Matt LaFleur is like, you know what? Maybe we just got to go back to the drawing board and just kind of reignite this thing from the beginning.
It made sense, but it seemed to me that he's reaching a little bit. You know, yes, it was coach speak a little bit. And, you know, I think he's got some assistants on the offensive side of the ball that should really be on the hot seat, be under the microscope right now. Obviously, one, Luke Butkus, you know, Adam Stenovich. You know, there's some question marks on that coaching staff, on that offensive side. So when he said he was going to go back to square one with this offense, I'm all about self-scouting. Yep. I really am all about it. But that stood out to me as not an excuse, but almost he's reaching for answers. He's reaching for something right now, and he doesn't know what it is. So to say that we're going to go back to year one of this offense, you know, I would have much preferred him saying, you know, we're doing a lot of self-scouting and we've seen some tendencies that we need to correct. You know, he talked about finishing a drill all the way through and you know, really looking at it from each individual drill being very intentional. And, you know, we talk about that at the high school level. We really do. So I get all this, but to me it just says he's searching for answers. And he doesn't know why Green Bay slipped backwards last year offensively. And so, you know, I'd rather have him say, look, we're doing a lot of self-scouting. We realized some things last year, or looking at the tape, we realized that maybe we had some tendencies. that didn't help us. I would have preferred that language. And again, I'm not a Matt LaFleur basher, so I'm not here saying fire him.
Right.
It struck me as odd that we're going to go back to year one of this offense.
Right. Yeah. And maybe a poor choice of words or something like that.
Yeah. I would have much rather him said, hey, we are doing everything we can to make sure that we're putting the offense in the best position possible. Now, could that mean going back to some grassroots things that he installed 6 years ago? Yeah, absolutely. I'm good with that. But to say that, we're going back to day one of the offense, like I said, I think he's reaching a little bit and trying to find some answers.
Right. Yeah, maybe it's incorporating with Sky Moore on there a little bit of that Tyler Swervin Irvin type of stuff.
Which is great. I have zero problem with that. And again, I in particular really like that signing, by the way. I think from a special teams and an offensive standpoint. But yeah, it just I guess you're right. Poor choice of words might be it. But it seemed to me like he's searching for answers. And that's okay for a coach to do. But to say we're going to go back to day one of the offense makes zero sense to me. It didn't make a lot. Jordan Love's not at that point. He's progressed past day one of this offensive install. So you're hoping you say, hey, we're going to take it to the next level rather than go back to day one.
How excited should we be as Packers fans to see Micah Parsons really taking under his wing Colin Oliver and Barron Sorrell working out with those two guys?
The optics are great.
Yeah.
The optics are wonderful. You love to see that kind of thing. You love to see a locker, an on-field leader really showing his off-field leadership. And so you love it. Now, are we going to see Oliver and Sorrell becoming, the next Micah Parsons? Probably not. But, yeah, you love to see it. So the optics are great. And I love seeing that kind of offseason work. When you got an older vet, especially a stud like Micah Parsons, bringing the young bucks in, yeah, that's great to see. I want to see it on the field.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I was excited for both of those guys last year. And both of those guys fit much more, I think, in Jonathan Gannon's defense than they did last year with Halfleys. And so, they were undersized defensive ends in a 4-3. They're perfect outside backers in a 3-4. So I'm really excited for them. And the optics look great. I want to see it translate to the field.
And another one of those guys, I know you've mentioned it a couple times, but you going back to at the beginning where you said, Goody still could add some veterans and such. Trayvon Diggs, obviously we know he's BFFs with Micah. Green Bay got a little bit of a taste of it last year.
Yeah.
Would you be open to that? I don't know if that'd be something maybe after the draft they kind of address.
100%. 100%. First of all, he's 28 years old. This isn't like you're picking up a 33-year-old cornerback. And Trayvon Diggs, not exactly the best technique player, but obviously when he was at his peak of his game, he was a game changer. He was absolutely a game changer. 100% I would go after him if you felt he was a fit. And I think that's one of the reasons Green Bay did it last year. Look, let's bring him into the locker room. Let's see what we got with this cat and then make a decision in the offseason. We all knew as Packer fans that they weren't going to keep him at that salary.
Right.
That was a no-brainer. We all knew that. But to have that audition last year, a couple of weeks on the team at the end of the year, I think was huge. And so I'd be 100% down with that. And again, of course, it comes down to money. If Packers spend stupid money on him, which they don't need to, then I'd say, well, wait a second, why are you doing that? But for the right deal and the right opportunity, and I'd make it potentially a couple of year deal. I wouldn't make it just a 1 year prove it deal. I might put a couple of years with some incentives on playing time and those types of things. And if he reaches those incentives, maybe that triggers something else for next year. So, yeah, 100%. I'd have zero problem with that pick.
Staying with corner to kind of wrap it up here, because I've seen some people, I kind of figured this was going to be happening, but one Jair Alexander has been active on social media. And I believe the Eagles still hold his rights because he retired and such. But I think he was in Green Bay a couple weeks ago. He posted up a picture and such, and everybody's like, oh, what does that mean? And he's posted up pictures of him with the Packers. I think there was even one when they were playing in, was it South America? And he made a comment about this is when MLF, Matt LaFleur, and I were like best buds.
Yes.
Sort of thing, which is like, okay. So it's got Packers fans saying, can we bring him back? Would you bring him back?
part of me says that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
But a part of me says, look, it all comes down to money.
Yeah.
It all comes down to money. And I'm not working these guys out, so I don't know what his injury situation is like. But if you can bring him back on a team-friendly deal and a prove-it deal, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not again? And so, but also, there is a time and a place where you say, okay, that ship sailed.
Yeah.
We're going to move on. And so, does Green Bay need to? Are they going to make a move at cornerback with a veteran? I think so. Yes, I think you're going to see Goody go out and do something with that cornerback position from a veteran perspective. Do I see him doing something in the draft as well? Yes, probably doubling down at that position.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but is that the position group that I see Goody doing something with? Absolutely. So Jair at the right price, sure, why not? I'd rather have Trayvon Diggs. The one thing with Trayvon Diggs is you're not getting the injury problems, and I just think with Jair, he proved it.
Yeah.
Goody was right to do what they did and how they handled Jair. And so, went to Baltimore, didn't work out. Went to the Eagles, didn't work out. Then he's retiring. And so I would personally, if you're saying to me you could have Diggs or Jair, I'd take Diggs.
You're probably going to get at least a guy who's going to be committed to playing, right?
Yeah, you're going to get a healthy player.
Yeah.
And again, the number one talent you can bring to the table is availability in a situation like that. So, yeah, I would, if you're going to spend a veteran minimum kind of a deal on somebody, I'd do it on Diggs before I'd do it on Jair.
So, last thing, because we're just 2 weeks away from the draft, if more fans are seeing these top 30 visits and such, what's something that, in your opinion, that fans should be kind of paying attention to with these top 30 visits? Is there a lot to it, a lot of noise? Because it is a little bit different without the first round pick.
It is. I think fans should look into it. If you're one of those people that likes to put together a mock, but a lot of these names you're not going to find in the second, third, and fourth round.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these names are going to be day 3 of the draft. And so, I think that's what you look at. And one of the guys who I love for Green Bay, I just don't know if he's going to be there in round 2, and he's a top 30, is Chris Johnson, the cornerback out of San Diego State. And so that's a guy that I would love if he falls to Green Bay. I don't see it unless Green Bay moves up at that point. So, I think, and I think the other thing real quick, Dan, that you look at is what kind of body types, especially defensively, are they looking at? Because it's going to tell you a little bit more about what Gannon wants.
Yeah.
So some of these top 30 visits, look at the body types. Now, Goody falls in love with the RAS.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
The relative athletic score. And so he falls in love with that. So look at guys also from that standpoint. He tends to lean, if player A and player B are identical production-wise, he's going to draft a more athletic player. And so I think you look at that as well. If you're trying to glean something out of these, I think that's where you go, is you say, okay, let's look at body type, let's look at position, and then let's look at that RAS, because it's going to tell you probably if the Packers are legitimately interested.
All right, it's a question we've had for the day because it was this day in 1974, Hank Aaron hit number 715. So I've been throwing out, we've had some really good stories. What's a sports history moment that lives in your mind? Like, we always talk about world history stuff, like, I remember where I was for this and that. Is there a sports one?
You know what? For me, it is the 1980 Olympic hockey team. And I'll tell you why. Weirdly enough, so my dad won custody of me in 1976. So he and I, it was just the two of us. He, for some reason, was adamant at the start of those Olympics. He said, JoJo was what he called me back in the day. He said, we're going to watch all of these hockey games. So I watched every one with my dad. Every one. And so, and it's funny, the first night, I think at the tie against Sweden, I think it was. The first night I wanted to watch the Bucks game instead. And, of course, we only had one TV in the house. And so he's like, nope, we're watching Olympic hockey. And I don't know why. My dad passed away in 2007. Don't know why he was so adamant about it, but we watched every one of those games. We watched them together, just the two of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah, and I've got a scrapbook still to this day that I put together with pictures. My dad and I took a trip up to Camp Randall then, we're from Beloit, and saw the Wisconsin athletes being recognized, because Eric Heiden was also in that Olympics. And so, yeah, that was it. There's just no question for me. Having that with my dad was pretty awesome.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks
what
for
was
sharing
yours?
that. I'm trying to think. There's a few of them. I don't know why, but this one, like I could tell you everything about the day, March 4th, 2008, when Favre retired.
Oh,
I don't know why, but it's just, maybe it's because one of my college roommates, one house, 5 guys, 1 bathroom. That was something.
yeah, and you tend to remember those college days specifically. So yeah, where you were your time of life too.
But it was Joel just busts through my room. He's like, turn the TV on, and he walks off. So my morning started off that way. And I'm like, okay. So it was on there. I'm like, oh. I walked down the stairs with my other roommate, Jake. We just look at each other. We hug.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
So it's stuff like that. And then I go to campus, UW-Eau Claire, wearing my Favre jersey. I remember a professor saying, Thursday we're going to watch the press conference. So that's what we're doing for class.
Very
So
cool. What class was it?
Kinesiology, biomechanics.
Okay.
Yeah. It was.
That's that, and Dan, that is a cool story of a slice of life and what sports means. And that's again the highs and the lows you have as a true sports fan.
Yep.
I wouldn't trade him for anything.
Yep.
I wouldn't trade him for anything. So good stuff.
And I remember we all grabbed a beer that night, and I did a toast to Brett Lorenzo Favre.
To number 4.
To number 4.
To number 4. Yeah. No, I there are those moments that hang with you, and it's cool to relive those. And for me, there's just no doubt. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, February 22nd was the actual date.
I think that is
1980 when they beat the Russians, and my dad was just bawling. We were hugging. It was awesome.
That's awesome. All right, thanks, Joe.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it, man.
sir.
Good
Always
stuff.
good stuff.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a quick break, but we'll be right back after these few words. Spring is here in Eau Claire, and that means it's the perfect time to freshen up your home at Carpet City Flooring Center. Now is the season to look at what's under your feet and imagine what it could be. From soft, comfortable carpet that makes any room feel cozier to luxury vinyl planks and tile built for those busy homes. There's something for every space, every budget, and every lifestyle. Maybe it's one room that needs a refresh, or maybe it's time for a full home update. Either way, their team is there to help guide you through it all, from choosing the right style to professional installation that you can count on. Because spring isn't just about cleaning out the old. It's about bringing in something better, a brighter space, a cleaner look, a home that feels new again. So if you're ready to upgrade this season, stop on in and see what's possible. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, where your next project starts from the floor up. So we've got a couple of messages to get to here. Let me bring it up here in just a little bit. Okay, so Jason, going back to the Bucks, says, what about Hurley? Don't need to like him, but can't argue with his results and player development at UConn. Horst should go too. Drafting is not a strength. They've not been able to develop internally because they do not draft well. Name a meaningful contributor from the past 5 drafts, or bring back Coach Bud. So, yeah, okay. So, throw out Hurley. Don't know if that would be something, since, the Lakers were a possibility last year and such, but what if they threw a bunch of cash? What if they threw a bunch of money at him? Would you be good with that as a Bucks fan? We've got a couple more stories here. We got Mark H. says, and we will see you tomorrow night. The greatest World Series game ever. Carl from Colfax says, I won $1 betting that Hank Aaron would hit number 715 the next game. I bought 10 packs of baseball cards with my winnings. A few of you on the Section 105 chat. By the way, all of you in the regulars, talking to Brandon, talking to Paul, talking to Zach, and heck out there. Spread the word of the YouTube channel so we can get more people in there. Put it on your socials and such, all right? Brandon Wolf said, I remember watching the 2000 dunk contest. Vince doing things nobody has ever seen before. Wearing the and one Tai Chi shoes. I asked my parents for those shoes the next day so I could dunk like that. He also, Brandon says, not really a sports moment, but remember growing up and having family gatherings with Bob Uecker on the radio. Every time I'd hear his voice, it would remind me of those summer days with my family. It was like Bob was a part of the family. That's a good one, too. That's a good one, too. So continue to share those. If you're wondering, if you're just joining in, you're wondering, what are you guys talking about? Well, today, 1974. It was an awesome story by Joe there, and a lot of you have texted in some really great stories, too. But it was this day, 1974, that Hank Aaron hit number 715. So we're asking, what's a sports history moment that you remember like it was yesterday, that you remember everything about it, or a lot of things about that day or that moment? It doesn't necessarily have to be like one of the top moments in sports history, but it's something that's maybe is stuck in your mind. Share it with us if you're comfortable with doing that, all right? Send it on over. A lot of great stories, and a big thanks to everybody who has shared those stories. All right, we got to take a quick break here, playing a little catch-up, so we'll be right back after these quick words. Got about a few minutes left to the top of the hour, and then we're going to be hitting halftime here this morning. But it is a Wednesday, which means we're doing a little Inside the Hobby segment, and he's back from Slab Factory. Ty, how you doing, man?
Doing fine, Dan. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Getting, baseball season's fully underway.
I've watched
and
like
such,
every
too.
Brewer game. I'm having a blast.
Yeah?
This team is fun.
It is. And just a little bit this morning here, too, because we're going to be hitting on a few different topics. We're going to be talking about, I know the news last week with Topps and the NFL
Right.
coming together and such. You're going to talk a little bit about card shows and that. Kind of throwing this one out there really quick because I know we have a few minutes to the top of the hour, but the news that Connor Griffin has signed a 9-year deal with the Pirates,
Yes.
the youngster, biggest contract. Is that a guy, if you have his card, or is that going to be one of the next big baseball ones out there?
Yes.
Out there?
I was seeing actually, there's this really fun thing. There's so many rookies in baseball right now that are just going off. Connor Griffin, Kevin McGonigal, Carson Bench. That's just to name a few. There are some other guys who are just hitting the cover off the ball. Owen Casey down in Miami, and those guys are all really hot cards right now. And Chase DeLauder has like 4 or 5 home runs.
Yeah.
So the resurgence of some of these young guys has really like put a lot of life into the baseball collecting side. And Connor Griffin's stuff is selling for quite a bit right now. I mean, like I've seen his first Bowman base card is, paper is doing like $10, which is just nuts for a paper base card. I have advice for that if you want to get into that. How to buy, how to sell.
Let's do that coming up at the top.
Yeah,
or after the top.
Perfect.
So,
yeah.
That definitely would love to hear that too. And you were seeing a lot of these younger guys too signing these long-term deals. Obviously, Cooper Pratt, being with the Brewer one. I don't know has that affected. Do you know about his market a little bit?
Yeah, so it does affect the market specifically in 2 different ways, right? Teams showing belief in their players does affect their market, right?
Okay.
If they pay a guy, they believe in them. This goes for rookies or vets, right? If someone gets a big contract, it does boost their market a little bit because it's showing, that teams believe in them. But the other thing too with these young guys is that if you specifically are personally collecting a guy, right? Like when I'm personally collecting Churio, part of the reason that I PC Jackson Churio is because I know he's under contract for the next, is it 6 years from now? I think 2032. So he's, with him being locked under contract, and obviously the Brewers someday will not be able to pay him. That's how the Brewers work, unfortunately. But like hypothetically, I mean, they paid Yelich, who knows? But if they can't pay him someday, I still have all those years to collect his stuff and enjoy his stuff in a Brewers uniform.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to ask about, was Cheerio kind of the same way too when he signed up that long-term deal? And maybe Jesus Mate coming up here too?
Yeah, if they sign, because his stuff is already pretty hot, so if he signs a long-term deal, then it'll go pretty nuclear like Connor Griffin did.
Okay, interesting. So, I'm excited coming up here in just a little bit because we got the news at the top of the hour here. But again, we're going to talk. Paul's already saying best segment of the week here.
All
so
right. Yeah, we love to hear it.
Yeah, he's ready. Paul was kind enough too. He actually show you some of the stuff. He donated some cards to give away too.
Very cool.
For listeners and such too. So
very cool.
Yeah, I'll have to go get those and show you what Paul donated. So, but we're going to talk a little bit about Topps and NFL because man, when I was a kid, we had so many different brands and all this, and now it just feels like it's shrinking.
It's shrinking.
The
whole market is shrinking with whether it's grading like we talked about last time or the distributors at the top.
Yep.
It's shrinking a little bit.
Yeah, and then card shows, which I know Claire's got one coming up in a couple weeks here too.
Yep.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I definitely got some questions with that, especially with younger kids and taking the family over there too. So, but Shot Clock's going to cut us off, so we're going to have a quick news update. And we got plenty more with Ty from Slab Factory for Inside the Hobby. Hey, if you got questions too, send them on over. All right. Don't make them too hard. No, I'm just kidding. But send those on over. Quick break. We'll be right back after these few words. All right, halftime is over with. We are on to the third quarter, the third hour on this Wednesday morning, making a turn on the week. We appreciate you hanging out and tuning in, no matter where you're tuning in from. Coming up here, we'll get back to some more Mike's Star Market. Am I Wrongs? Your Hy-Vee game changers of the week. We've got Brewers coming up in a few hours in a rubber match. We get Shane Drowan making his Major League debut, going up against the team that he was on last year with the Red Sox. So Brewers are going to be going up against Sonny Gray, who they are very familiar with from his time, obviously, recently with the Cardinals and such. So we'll talk more about that. Bucks are also in action tonight, taking on the Pistons, if you're still following along with the Bucks season and that. But there's more issues that people, I think, are kind of paying attention to with the Bucks right now.
Wow,
so,
what a disaster.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. But we've got Ty from Slab Factory still with us. And, we're going to hit up a few different things here. Do you want to start off with the Topps thing, or do you want to go sports cards?
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
I can, just launching into it. Topps, owned by Fanatics, which they're having their conference right now. They're like their customer conference.
Okay.
So there have been some announcements that have been coming out and things like that. They claim to be focusing a little bit more on price point accessibility. We'll see if that's the case. That's one of the things that they came out with. They also announced like a Fanatics American Express credit card that will give fans different deals on, different access. So some people are ticked about that. Some people are okay with that. Obviously, it's one of those things where you might benefit, but also if you get less access because you don't have it, that's not really the way the hobby should be. So, a little bit, stuff here, stuff there with Topps. But the biggest news, obviously, being that they took over the football license. And so what that means really specifically is that they have an agreement with the Players Association, right? And the Players Association deal just started. The full NFL licensing, I think, starts shortly, like right after the Player Association stuff, right? So there's a product that's out right now, for example, which is it's called Panini Prism Black, and that box has licensed football in it, but it's only vets and retired players and stuff because the current Players Association agreement started already.
Gotcha.
So there's like some vet product and stuff like that they'll still put out until the bell. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, NFL is a Topps product now.
So I think was it Donruss or something that did baseball but without the logos and such? Is that something other ones could still do?
You're so right. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's unlicensed products. So like there's unlicensed and licensed. When you see unlicensed, I wish I had an example with me right now, but when you see unlicensed, it's basically you don't see the team name. And you don't see a logo. What you see is they've basically photoshopped the logo off the jersey or off the helmet, and the team name is just the city, right?
Okay,
so like, if you see like a Giannis, unlicensed Giannis card, there's not going to be a Bucks logo, and it's just going to say Milwaukee. It's not going to say Milwaukee Bucks because they don't have an agreement with the NBA. So the tricky part in all of this is how Panini kind of phases out. I'm not sure because Panini had the license for years and years. They also used to have basketball, and Topps took over basketball last year. And Topps basketball has been really successful, even though they haven't put out a ton of product yet. We talked about that last time. I'm hoping that they can put out a little bit more retail product in the near future. But Panini has had the license for a very long time, and I am unsure about what the health is going to look like of Panini as a company. I worry about a potential monopoly down the road where Fanatics just owns it all.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of talking a little bit earlier too. I remember when I was younger, it was Upper Deck, it was Topps, it was Fleer, it was all these different brands, or even like Top Stadium Club. And all that.
Well, you say Top Stadium Club. It's funny. I've got a Stadium Club Shohei Ohtani with
Look at
me,
that, yeah.
which Stadium Club used to be its own standalone, right? And similar to like Donruss used to stand alone. Hoops technically does. I just saw that Topps is going to be releasing NBA Hoops, which was a Panini product.
Okay.
But it was actually their own separate agreement. So so Topps is going to have NBA Hoops.
All right.
So there's little things where there's like microcosms that will survive and not survive. I'm interested to see what that is. But yes, Upper Deck still has hockey, still has golf, still has some, outlying niche type sports. We carry the hockey and golf stuff. And Panini will continue to have, I'm going to get corrected here. I can't remember if they lost UFC or if they still have UFC. And same thing with wrestling. I don't know if they still have wrestling or if they lost that too. So, there are, it's a league by league basis, but the agreements seem to be going in the favor of Topps when you have the three major sports, which, football, baseball, and basketball.
We do have a question. Speaking of Topps, Paul wants to know, what do you think about the Topps Now cards?
Topps Now is cool. So for those who aren't aware of what Topps Now is, Topps Now, you go to the Topps website, you can get cards based on events that just happened.
Oh.
So they print a specific print run of them based on how many are ordered, right?
Okay.
So like recently, what was the big one recently? It was one of the like record highs for number of orders, but like the Jack Hughes goal for U.S. hockey, the Topps Now card printed. It was hundreds of thousands of copies of that card. When you order those cards, you're doing it for, depending on the card, anywhere from like $4 to $10 a card, because it depends on what the set is. And you are randomly inserted in packs that are sent out to the customers are numbered ones, limited run ones. You can get a 1 of 1 if you're the lucky person who gets sent that 1 of 1, right? So it's kind of a lottery system in that sense. But either way, you're ordering just a big batch of these Topps Now cards. People sometimes order hundreds of them just to try to get some of the low numbered ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Man, I think there's something new almost every week.
I know.
Feels like with
and
this stuff.
it's been around for a little bit, but they've recently kind of like shifted the way that they do it and are doing it more aggressively because they've realized it's just a new way to print money without having to, create an entirely new set.
Right.
Yeah. So like the Connor Griffin debut, just, that one's right now, I think, available for sale, right? You can go on Topps and buy that. There's also something called Panini Instant. It's doing the same thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So let's go to some card show stuff.
Yeah.
Because I know we've got some coming up, and you probably see it a lot on Facebook. And we have a listener, Jordan, that a few weeks ago he said he doesn't usually go to card shops and such, but he saw a sale free. He's like, I got to drop that off for you. And, I've gone to card shops or to card shows, and taking Hudson that, and it can be a little overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you kind of brought this up as a topic to discuss today.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I know when I got back into collecting about 6 years ago, goodness, time is flying. When I got back into it, the first time I went to a card show, I felt like when I was trying to talk to these vendors, it was like terrifying because like these are people who, in some cases, they're very jaded, right? They're doing it as a business, right? Which is fine. This is not a bad thing. They're used to getting negotiated to death. They're used to people making unreasonable requests. They're used to this, that, right? Yep. But there are so many of the vendors there that are ready to help and educate and just want to help you, have a better experience, especially when kids are involved, right? Yeah. And it shouldn't be a scary thing to walk into a card show and look around and try to find a card that you like. You will get the grouchy, person here and there. You can usually tell because their tables, either it looks the same at the beginning of the show and the end of the show, or they don't have people at it or whatever, right? But like there are people who are there to, when we set up at shows, we are buying, we are selling, we are trading, right? Just like our shop model is. When somebody walks up to the table and they see something they want, they can either buy it for the sticker or negotiate it, or they can trade for it. Or they can walk up with a binder or some cards and just say, hey, I'm looking to offload these, what are they worth? What's the value? Card shows move a little faster than the shops. So if you're going to do that, I do recommend not bringing in an entire binder of, low end stuff that's going to take forever to comp, right? Yeah. To get prices for. Comp means to get prices for. And so, when you go to these shows, think of it from the vendor perspective of things move quickly for them. If they are working on one thing for a long time, they might be losing opportunities. So if you want to bring a big, gigantic binder, that might not be the time. But if you want to bring a handful of cards that you want to trade or you want to sell, and you find some stuff that they have that you want, don't be afraid to negotiate. These are things that, the worst thing they're going to say is no. And, the negotiation might go your way, it might not. But, the point of the entire thing is to try to have an experience where you're digging for gold, right? You're finding the things that you want. Don't be afraid to dig in those dollar boxes, because every once in a while you find a $20 card in there.
Yeah.
So you want it to be inviting. And one show that does a great job of that coming up here, the Eau Claire Card Extravaganza. I think Eau Claire Sports Card Extravaganza. I can't remember if it's sports or just regular, but I know that Pokemon vendors are there too. But that show is coming up. It's at the Best Western at the end of the month. The guy who runs it, Hawk is the nicest guy in the hobby, I swear. And he's got a great shop up in, I think, Woodruff, Wisconsin. But yeah, I highly recommend that show for people who are just trying to get their feet wet.
And that thing's gotten bigger in the last few years, because it used to be in the Oakwood Mall, and now it's at Best Western, where they're even in the hallway with
we used to
tables
set up
and that.
we used to set up in the hallway at the mall. Like our table was like in the main hallway, which was fun. A lot of traffic, but a lot of people not really knowing what was going on either, obviously, because they were just going to the mall.
Right.
But that show is great. They do a fantastic job, and it's just a welcoming spot, and you can find a wide variety of stuff at that show.
Right. And then, do you want to?
Yeah. Well, we have a show this summer. It's
breaking news, by the way.
We haven't even announced this yet. Actually, I asked Dan. I was like, "You want to get the scoop?" We'll have details soon. Look for that to be posted. But we have our Packs and Pints card show at Brewing Project on August 9th. So it's going to be in the upstairs area at Brewing Project. All ages. It doesn't, you're just not 21 plus or anything like that. But it is it's a smaller show, about 18, 20 vendors. We're going to get a lot of people who are kid friendly, a lot of people who are just trying to make this a good experience. We'll have some fun raffle items and some different giveaways throughout the day, put on by us, Slab Factory. And some good friends of the hobby, like somebody like Brian Wilchin, who I got to shout out Brian Wilchin. Brian runs such an incredible card collecting club in the local schools here. And that guy works so hard to provide an experience for those kids for nothing in return.
No.
And when I say nothing, I mean financially. Obviously, the return for him is the joy that these kids are getting. But I say best person in the hobby. He's, Hawk is competing with Brian Wilchin. I mean, so, Mr. Wilchin, as some people might know him as a teacher.
Yep.
But he'll be set up and giving away his cards for kids and all that stuff. And we're just going to have a good time.
I was just actually going to, because what Slab Factory does, and I know we had a couple other local places that do it too, but you help out the card collecting club with donations and such too. I mean, so kudos to
it's not just us, actually. It's our customers. So our customers have figured out, hey, I've got some cards that I don't know what I'm going to do with them, and maybe these kids would benefit, and so they drop them off, and we donate to Brian and the Card Collecting Club. Now, if people are hearing this and they're like, oh, I got a ton of cards I got to get rid of, the kids are not interested in the 80s and 90s junk wax. Yep. They don't know who those players are. Yep. Modern cards, things like that, they will definitely take. But the Card Collecting Club, they are not interested in your 90s NBA hoop set.
Maybe we need to start up the adult version of that.
Exactly. Yeah. When do we get that going? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, you got extra time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Brian, sort these out too.
Exactly. I swear, on weekends he's posting pictures, sorting through and all that. And I know with Little League season coming up, he's going to be at tournaments and such set up too and handing that out.
He works so hard and is such an amazing ambassador of the hobby.
Right. Well, do you want to show? You brought some other
cards here
too.
This is just for fun, I was able to add, because I talked about the PC, which for me is game used patches from all-star players from the year I was born in 1992. So I did complete two of my sort of grail ones. I needed a Wizards Michael Jordan. Ooh. I needed a Bulls Michael Jordan.
Okay.
So I was able to get my Wizards one here first. So that is actually game worn shorts from Jordan.
That's awesome.
Which is funny. I remember this set as a kid, actually. I didn't have this card, but I remember this set as a kid. And then this one was a little tougher to get, but I was able to do a little trading into it. And this Jordan is from his Bulls days. So the game worn stuff I'm trying to knock out some of the bigger guys here early. I also, just for fun, brought this because this patch is gorgeous. This is Charles Barkley, game worn NBA relic. And
I just saw, was there a Barkley card, one of one that just went ridiculous amount? Yeah.
It did. It was a logo man.
Yeah.
Which logo mans in general, they go crazy.
Yep.
I think it went for
Six figures.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was over 100. It was like 124,000.
Yeah.
Like ridiculous number for a Charles Barkley card, but it was awesome. I
Yeah.
would love to see it. You love to see occasionally guys like that get their flowers. I'll bring a couple. I'll show you a couple others. This one I just got, and I can talk about what this means in both of these cards actually. But this is a rookie Aaron Rodgers patch auto.
Oh man.
And by the way, these are my collection. These are not shop cards,
Yes.
unfortunately. I mean, if you're interested in any of them, you can talk to us at the shop. But again, the shop has plenty of great cards available as well. But this one I talked about a few weeks ago is like kind of a grail that I'm going after, and I had an opportunity to
look
pick
at
one
that.
up, and there it is. So I had the opportunity to pick up. This is Jordan's Fleer rookie. An iconic card. This is one that these both the Aaron Rodgers and the Michael Jordan are graded as authentic altered.
Okay.
And what that means is that they are obviously the real deal, but the altered means that physically there was something that was done to it that it is not the same, either the same shape or condition that it would have been, right? So it's different than grading it based on scratches or things like you can actually see in this top corner, that little peel
Okay.
on the top. This was probably in a screw down, I'm guessing, and then it kind of peeled that top right off.
Okay.
So you can see that little thing there. That's the altered part on the Jordan, and then on the Aaron Rodgers, it's hard to see, but there's like kind of a gouge in the side of the card that I couldn't even show you if I tried on this camera, but it's still authentic, still the real deal, just not as good of condition.
Right. Man. Okay, so really quick before I have to let you go, because you're talking about pricing and such, and this is something I always think about or always wondered.
Yeah.
Because when we were younger, we had price guides, right?
Yeah.
We had Tough Stuff,
We had
Beckett,
Beckett.
and all that. What's the best way to price? Now you're looking online, you look at eBay, you see wide ranges of stuff sometimes.
And here's the question, Dan. How much time do we have? No, I mean, the quickest answer is that there's a handful of apps that are really good for this, and it just depends on what it is. If you're pricing Pokemon, there's like Collector app or TCG Player. Those are the ways to price your Pokemon. If it's graded Pokemon, you can check price charting or, Card Ladder. We at the shop use Card Ladder. It's an app. You
Okay.
do pay a monthly fee for Card Ladder, but it's the cleanest, most effective one that we've used.
Okay.
For a free one for sports, 130 point, 130, like the number, and then point. .com. That is the best way to get accurate prices. Do not go directly through eBay for it, because eBay does not show you the best offer accepted number. It sometimes shows unpaid auctions. So if you're really looking for accurate comps on sports cards, Card Ladder, 130 point. Some of these other apps are doing okay too, like Collects and like the Sports Card Investor app and some of these others. But those are the big two, I think, Card Ladder and 130 point.
Okay, because Hudson for the Easter Bunny got him those egg tops baseball ones, and he got two of them, and one of them it was a green parallel Mizorowski rookie,
Heck yeah.
and then the other one was a Paul Skeens.
All right.
So and I'm like, well, this site says if it's Gem 10, it's like $100 or something, but then it's like we talked about that last time, how it goes down further.
Way
and that,
down.
I'm like, which one is it, sort of thing. But I'm like,
It's
just
hard
put it
to
in
tell
case.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and like there's also always outliers, so you can't use. You got to kind of use some logic and build a case for a card.
Right.
Yeah.
Man. Well, Barb says, not a card person. However, this is so interesting. Thanks for sharing
Oh,
this
that's
knowledge.
great.
So
Yeah,
good stuff.
I'm glad. Yeah, I have a blast every time I'm on here. So
And Paul says, okay, we be flexing. Holy crap.
no, these are cards in, cards out, right? So like I'm not somebody who holds cards that big. This is for me I'll try to hold cards like that if I can, but really, it doesn't make all the sense in the world to do so necessarily. Yeah, it's
right.
cards in, cards out.
That's awesome. I got to say, though, one thing, really quick, because we got to let you go here. Hudson wants last year I tried to figure this out. There's got to be a way for a birthday party to do something with cards.
Oh, heck yeah.
So if you have any, I'm going to throw this to you. If you have like ideas that I could do for his birthday party with friends.
I got it right now. I think
right.
you could do like a little card break.
Yeah.
You could randomly assign people at the party teams, right? You could put them all in a randomizer, spin the wheel, have a good time with it, and then, open a couple of boxes, and then, the kid gets the cards from that team, right?
Yeah.
you don't want to introduce the concept of gambling on cards necessarily,
Right.
but you can. There's a way to make it fun and accessible, like Brian does.
I was going to say he's gone to Brian's card breaks and such
you
too.
could absolutely do that, and if you wanted to do that through us, we would be happy to host it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Hold me to it.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, of
appreciate
course.
it. It's
Yeah.
Ty Slab Factory. Give us the hours again for Slab Factory, or what's the best way?
I was going to say, best way to check hours is Google because they're different every day, and I'm going to get a headache if I try to rattle them off. But check Google. Also, feel free to reach out if you have questions about the shop, if you have questions about shows. Like the Instagram that we have is myself answering the questions. The Facebook Messenger is either myself or my colleague Jordan, who is really running the show. He's back and forth, Madison, Eau Claire. And then we've got Paul, of course, one of our fellow owners, and then Derek down in Madison. So all these guys do such an amazing job with kids, with families. I'm lucky to work with such an incredible group of people.
That's all. And I know you're on X with yours.
Yes, and that's
doing some stuff
you
too.
know the X stuff. Like, look, I keep it pretty PG, but I do like to complain about like Doc Rivers. You know? So like if you want to listen to that, you can go ahead and go there too. But yeah, I'm certainly all over the place.
That's awesome, man. I love this every time you're in. So
well,
we
hey, we'll
appreciate it.
see you in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, Paul, we'll give away a card. I'm going to have Ty pick it out of the bit. Pick a card. Which one are we going to give away today?
Oh, this one's. Let's do this. This is fun because it's an iconic card. It's not necessarily a super high value card, but it's an iconic one.
Yeah.
Griffey rated rookie. That is a really cool card.
That is.
And actually looks like it's the variation where it doesn't have the dot after ink.
Okay.
Which doesn't make it that much more rare, but it's a little bit more rare. So that's kind of fun.
All right. Well, I'll tell everybody how we're going to win that one coming up here in a little bit. So thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
We're going to take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Big thanks again to Ty from Slab Factory here in Eau Claire for our Inside the Hobby segment. Awesome. Always enjoy those conversations. And if you were just listening, so big thanks to one of our listeners, Paul, who has, as we said last week, donated a bunch of cards to give away and such. And one of them, and we had Ty pick which one we're going to be giving away. I actually have this one too, but I did not know about the dot thing, so I'm going to have to check that out at home. But we got a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, Don Russ 89, if you're watching on the video stream right now. So if you want a chance to win this one, which we've done a few times, whether it's been cards from Ty or cards from Paul and such. But let's go with I want to do this with a trivia question, but I'm going to make it a little bit different. All right. I'm going to make it a little bit different. Since this one's an iconic card and an iconic player, we're going to do kind of an iconic giveaway sort of thing. All right? So how about this? Send me, you could do a couple different things here. All right? We're going to do a couple different things. Send me a screenshot. All right, on your phone, on your computer, or I'll trust you. All right? Of you following, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and or following, subscribing to the Man Cave podcast on Apple and Spotify. All right? So you want a chance to do that. If you do both, I'll give you a couple entries into this one. A little bit different, but, I mean, this is a Griffey rookie card for crying out loud, so if you are a Ken Griffey Jr. fan or just a baseball fan and such, or a card collector, I mean, come on now. It's all worth it, right? Screenshot. All you got to do is screenshot it, or you can text me at 715-830-1912 saying done with the pod, with the video, whatever the case may be. All right? Let's do it this way. Changing it up just a bit. Just a bit. So the more times you do it, how about this? The more entries you get. And we got to play a little catch up here too, so we do have to take another break, the bottom of the hour break. But I want to kind of reset something in case we have some new listeners in that. And I already got people texting in their images in that. So today was the day. That actually fits well with Ken Griffey Jr. and Hank Aaron. But today was the day in 1974 that Hank Aaron hit number 750. What is a sports moment, a sports history moment that really kind of lives in your mind, that you still remember to this day, like almost everything about that day? We've had a lot of good ones. Mike says the Hank Aaron 715 is actually my oldest sports memory, but my favorite sports memory is attending my first Major League game at the old Met in late June of 1977. Rod Carew Jersey Day. He went 4 for 5. It went over 400 for the year, and the Twins beat the White Sox 19-12. So, good one. I like it. All right, we got some pictures. I like the screenshots. Keep them coming. All right. I knew I could trust that. I love you guys and gals. You guys are the best. Keep those coming. All right. We'll take a quick break. I might have to throw in some extra stuff here. We got some teas, some sports talk teas. I'll even throw that into the pot too. How about that? All right. I'll even throw that into here too. If we get more screenshots of following the video stream on YouTube, look it up on Man Cave TV or the Man Cave podcast. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. Right back after these quick words. Spring is here, and it is the perfect time for a fresh start and a new ride. Whether you are planning some road trips or tackling some weekend projects, or you're just ready for something new, now is the time to upgrade. At Toyson Ford, you'll find a great selection of trucks, SUVs, and cars built to fit your lifestyle and your budget. Plus, their team is here to make your car buying experience easy and stress-free. This spring, drive something that you love. Toyson Ford, your next adventure starts here. So, got a few more of those screenshots. Keep them coming. Paul, I did post up on my Facebook page the pic of the card and what to do. So if you want to go ahead and share that on Facebook as well. But another way, if you don't want to text in the images, you can screenshot and comment on Facebook as well. So there you have it. Big thanks again to Paul, who is doing such an awesome thing and donating some of these cards to give away to all of you fantastic listeners. If you're wondering which card, it's Ken Griffey Jr. Rookie. All right, so send those on over. So let's do, let's do, what do we got there? Oh, no, okay, sorry. Got sidetracked with a text with the image. All right, I got to minimize that because we are getting quite a few over there too. So reminder, hey, we got 2 games on the radio dials today. We've got the Brewers. First pitch, 12:35, taking on the Boston Red Sox. Shane Drowan's going to get the starts, making his major league debut. And then tonight, it'll be Bucks tipping off at 6, around 6, because we know NBA games can never, ever, ever, ever start on time. But that'll be, both games will be on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. So, but it'll be a game full, or a day full of a couple of games. So, what has been your impression so far, Brewers fans, about Jacob Misiorowski's first 3 starts to the season? 2 out of 3 double-digit strikeouts. The other one was 7. Last night he was off to a really good start up until the 6th inning, and then you could just kind of tell maybe fatigue, and that led to the mechanics falling off a bit for the Miz kid. 1-1 on the season. But what has been your impressions so far of Jacob Misiorowski from what you've seen in these first 3 games? By the way, with Shane Drowan getting the start today, because Chad Patrick was originally scheduled for today, or would be his turn in the rotation, I should say, but kind of a little bit of a short rest because of the doubleheader. This is how it's going to go. Shane Drowan, the Chad Patrick's going to get to start on Friday. Brandon Sproat getting the start on Saturday. Kyle Harrison getting the start on Sunday. That's according to our friend Hunter Baumgart, who covers the Brewers for Fox Sports Wisconsin. So there was, even with Drowan getting the start today, it kind of feels like he's going to be maybe just a couple innings, maybe 1 turn, possibly 2 turns through the rotation. Not going to be a guy that's going to give you a lot of length. It kind of feels that way given our recent history and such. So, but, or his recent history. So let's kind of see is it going to be kind of a bullpen type of day? DL Hall pitched a little bit yesterday. Can we see Aaron Ashby maybe getting in a couple innings in that? But remember, this is a bullpen that has experience with guys giving you at least a couple of innings and such. So it could be just one of those situations. On the flip side, you got Sonny Gray going for the Red Sox, which quite a few Brewers players are definitely well-versed and experienced going up against him. So who has the advantage? Is it the Brewers hitters going up against a good pitcher, Sonny Gray, but they've got a ton of experience? Or Red Sox, they also know Shane Drowan a little bit too, but they haven't gone up against him in a game. So it'll be interesting to see where that kind of plays out and such. So tell you what, we'll take a quick break here and we'll kind of get things back on track. So, but give me your thoughts on what your first impressions have been like with Jacob Misiorowski, the first 3 games of the season. We'll take a quick break. Back with plenty more and to wrap up the 3rd quarter after these few words. As the fields come back to life, it's time for spring sports in the Chippewa Valley. Whether you're stepping up to the plate or hitting the track or getting back on the field, make sure that your body is ready to perform. At Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their team specializes in keeping athletes of all ages healthy, strong, and in the game. From injury prevention to expert care and recovery, they've got you covered every step of the season. Don't let pain keep you on the sidelines. Get back in the game with confidence. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better and playing stronger and staying in the game. We got about 11 minutes to the top of the hour as we wrap up quarter 3, hour 3 this morning. So, again, if you want a chance to win this Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card donated by our good friend, listener Paul, do it a little bit different here this morning. So, instead of a trivia one, because it's an iconic card and such, got to send us a screenshot that you're following or subscribing to the YouTube page and or the podcast. If you do both, you get a couple of entries. So big thanks to everybody who's already done that. You can continue to do so. We've been also collecting some stories here this morning since it was this day in 1974 that Hank Aaron hit number 715. And we talk about, in world history and such, where were you when this happened? Where were you when that happened? And we can remember the whole day and such. But from a sports perspective, what is that sports memory, or what are one of those sports memories for you? Mark, who has had a couple of really good ones, chiming in again with another one, saying, one more of those, where were you memories, DK? I guess it would have been April 2005 when Ted drafted Aaron Rodgers. My wife and I were Vegas getting something to eat at Planet Hollywood restaurant, and following the draft and Aaron falling on the TVs there in the restaurant, then holy crap, we just drafted Aaron Rodgers. I remember that too. I had a little bit of a different reaction. I was upset and I went golfing. So I remember calling my friend, because I was a freshman in college, calling my friend who was at a different college. This was before, cell phones and having the instant Twitter and Facebook access and such. Because I'm like, did they actually draft Rodgers? And he said, yeah. And I was just like, no, I don't know. No, I'm not happy. Glad I was wrong, but there you have it. So is there a sports memory that sticks in your mind? Because we talk a lot about it in world history there, Luke, about I remember this, I remember that. I mean, is there one? It doesn't have to be like the best moment in sports history.
Because the first thing that's coming to mind is I turned away when Falcons kicked the winning field goal in the 98 NFC Championship game. As soon as the ball started going up, I was in someone's dorm room at college, and I just turned around, didn't watch it go through, and I think I've seen the highlights since, but I was done. But that's just a general individual one. In terms of a big one, nationally known, I know the shine is off of it, but when Mark McGuire hit number 62, I remember sitting in my college dorm room. It was the same actual year of college, my junior year.
That one seems to still get, because C-Bomb mentioned that one. That one still seems to get more recognition than Bonds.
Yeah.
About it.
I can barely remember Bonds going over the limit. I'm trying to remember. Do I remember him breaking the record, or do I remember him hitting his last home run? And was that the same one? When the fact that all of that is cloudy says a lot about that. Right. I have a vague memory of that. But I definitely remember watching it go over. I was clapping. Which sounds like, why am I clapping Mark McGuire? Well, because of the significance of the moment. We're like, wow, it really did happen. So in terms of earth-shattering ones, like the biggest sports moments going back to, so in my case, it would be back to 1985. I remember watching Tiger winning his first Masters, 97. Again, it was at college, but I remember watching that in the lounge of our freshman dorm. Some of those, watching the Super Bowls, pretty much watched all of those as they happened. So, yeah, I think most of those do stand out. But, yeah, in terms of oh, my gosh, when it happened, yeah, those are probably the big ones.
I don't know why this one has just always come to the forefront, but it's weird that I know the day, March 4th, 2008, Brett Favre retiring. I remember almost everything about that day. How it started with my roommate waking me up and literally just saying, turn the TV on and walking away. I'm like, okay, turn it on. And there it was, walking down the stairs. Another one of my roommates walked in. We didn't say anything. We just hugged, and the rest of the day on campus. And I don't know why that one sticks, but it does.
The funny thing with that should have had, even though I'm not a Packers fan, that should have had more of a difference in retrospect. And I don't think it did because there were so many false starts on it. Because I remember we had this idea here in our building. What was then, at that point, we were owned by Maverick Media, so it wasn't Midwest Family. So what I'm referencing is our group of radio stations. So we had this idea that when Brett Favre announces his retirement, this will be go on the air, as many stations as possible, all 6 maybe, and say, Brett Favre has now retired. That was that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But you figured, this is going to happen in the spring of 2006. No, it's not going to happen. Well, it's going to happen in the spring of 2000. No.
I mean, we all thought it was going to be after 05.
Right, I know. So then it finally did happen in the spring of 08. And yes, it was a big deal.
Like of all the years after an NFC Championship game, there's no way.
Right.
You know,
Right. So when it did happen, I think I have a memory of that day when it came through, but it wasn't the all hands on deck, drop what you're doing, go on live now. I'm sure we kind of did, but yeah, it was like, okay, well, now it actually is happening. And then, of course, came back anyway. So afterwards, so I think that reduced it in retrospect.
Right.
Sort of like the McGuire thing. In retrospect, was it as big of a deal? Maybe not.
Right. No. I can still remember the McGuire thing because there used to be the bottom ticker before that was the big thing was the bottom ticker. It'd go into programming and I'm like, oh, and I ran upstairs to watch it and such. So, and obviously there's obviously big ones when I wasn't around. So, Joe was talking about 1980 Olympic hockey. I wasn't around, so I can't say that one, in essence, but.
Actually, I found a photo of me the day that game happened recently. I was 1.5 years. I was going on 2 later that May. So I have no memory at all. I didn't know anything about hockey for many years. But there's, I was going through some old pictures about maybe a year ago. And I found these pictures of me from that winter. And for some reason, that picture had a date on it. Most don't. It's just Polaroids. But that day, for some reason, my mom or my dad wrote February 22nd, 1980. Neither is a hockey fan. I'm not sure if either of them cared. And remember, this is where I have to remember, we weren't watching it in real time. You watched it that evening.
Yeah.
Probably hardly anyone knew it was happening as it was happening. But there's a picture of me from that afternoon, and I saw that. I'm like, dang, there I am, a little toddler in the snow up on Churchill Street in Eau Claire. And right as that's happening, probably the U.S. men's hockey team is playing the Soviet Union. So I know I could see myself from that day. No memory of that at all. Ironic how that works. So what is the moment you wish you could have experienced?
The moment that I wish I could have experienced? Does it matter if I was around or not?
Either one. Because there's a whole lot where you, like there's one, hey, I was alive. I didn't know it was happening.
One that I wasn't around, even though it seems like a million people were there, I would have liked to have experienced the Ice Bowl and watched the sneak. That probably would be one for me.
Gosh, yeah.
For one that I was around, that I was maybe too young to remember. Honestly, because I was 5 or 6. I would have liked to have been I wish I could have remembered what the reaction was like when Reggie White signed with the Packers.
Interesting.
Just because, I don't know what it was like, because no internet.
Right.
I was 5, didn't really understand the significance of it all and such. I will say probably an honorable mention. Brewers going to the World Series, just because I've never obviously experienced that, been close. So
that's something that came to mind recently, actually. I was just thinking of this the other day, the Artemis 2 mission. And I don't talk about space really on this show, but I am as much as I'm into uniforms and stadiums, we well know, anyone who listens to the show, I am that hardcore about space exploration as well. I have been since I was a kid. So I've read about the moon missions, the Apollo missions, but it was always in a historical context. There's been a lot of references in this mission similar to that, like translunar injection, and now they're going to have a loss of signal going behind the moon out of the tracking station. That's all historic stuff as far as I was concerned. I'm kind of, in real time, I'm getting to experience what people experienced to a much greater degree back then in the late 60s and early 70s. I thought, so what is kind of the sports equivalent around here of that? And it might be probably the Brewers in the World Series. Not necessarily for me, but I'm thinking of a lot of people around here. If you were too young to remember or you weren't yet born, you don't know what it's like to have your favorite team in the World Series. There's a big difference between watching other teams and then being invested in it. And what would that be like? Bingo. I think that's the one.
Yeah.
To go all 7 games, to even be in game 7 and be leading. You're like 3 innings away, and all of that happening.
Yep.
That would be really wild. Yeah. I think for me, very quickly, the one I was alive for it, and I've talked about my regret over it, not staying awake for Game 6 of the 91 World Series, because I know I would have remembered that, because Game 7 is one of my absolute all-time favorite moments. Game 6, why did I go to sleep? I don't know. I was super confident. I missed the 2 Kirby Puckett highlights, and I wish I would have stayed up for that one.
Keep sending us those. Hit us up with the text 715-830-1912, or you can join in on the Section 105 chat on YouTube. All right, third quarter is in the books. Fourth quarter coming up after this news update. All right, final hour. Kick it off right now on this Making the Turn Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody, whether you are listening on the radio dials. You got a couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Streaming us up online, WAYYradio.com. You've got your smart devices like your Google and Alexa, your video stream up and rolling on YouTube, and, of course, the app. Shout out to Tom from across the pond, our resident Lions fan who's in England this morning here, too. So,
this afternoon would be that time.
Yeah, probably having a pint and all that. So. But we're going to be talking some more Brewers coming up as the Brew Crew back in action today in the rubber match against the Boston Red Sox. First pitch you can listen to right here on 105.1 FM and 790 AM at 12:35. Coverage will begin at noon, and then later on tonight, coverage of the Bucks versus Pistons game will start at 5:30. Tip time around 6 p.m. as the Bucks start to wrap up. Well, they already started, but they will be wrapping up their regular season. I actually want to go to a little football here, note, because last week with when you were in for a few minutes, Luke, we were talking about, again, uniform stuff. Mm-hmm. You see the latest from Ed Policy?
No, I did not. I've been so much into what the Falcons did. Side note, what do you think of what the Falcons did? I don't know. It's like, it wasn't too much. Like, silver's cool, but
yeah.
Okay.
So in his column that he took over for Mark Murphy, Policy's Perspective, he was answering a fan question about a true alternate uniform. And Policy, and we've been going back and forth. Is it like a cheesehead theme, sort of thing like that? He gave us another clue, and it throws a wrench into this whole thing.
Ooh, okay.
He said, as I mentioned back in November, there is a true alternate uniform in the works. Last year, the NFL unveiled a new rivalries uniform for teams in the AFC East and NFC West. The NFC North is on the docket this year. Stay tuned, and you'll learn more in the coming months, but I will say, this truly alternate uniform will celebrate owners and emphasize our uniqueness.
Okay.
So I don't think it's cheesehead.
Probably not.
I don't think it's an image of every single owner because
that was the first thing I thought, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the ugliest uniform I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But
it's got to be something
now.
with owners. It's got to be something with fans and owners because he says uniqueness. Emphasize our uniqueness. Mm-hmm. What's unique about Green Bay? The fact they don't have an owner.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay. But now, of course, this is my uniform brain coming to mind. I'm like, so what? Fans want an alternate and the rivalries and the winter warning. I think he wants like a true like alternate sort of thing. Like, okay, folks. Yeah, I know. There's some fans that want like. Now they probably want an all-black one and an all-gray one. They probably want a different uniform for all 17 games. Like, stop, people. Like, okay, cool. Buy your merch. A little traditional on that, but stop. I can see what Ed Policy's doing. He's saying, yes, it's an alternate. It's the rivalries one. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about last week, you only have 17 games in a season. You can't mix this up too much because there's not enough games. Yeah, I know college teams, you get your Oregons of the world that will have a different combination, maybe even a different design for all of the games. College is different. There's more of that versus the NFL. So, what do they mean? Again, it's not going to be like a picture of every single...
Where it's a selfie, and then I know you can digitize this so it actually, like the bigger version of it looks like stuff. That's still going to look ugly as all get out, and there's no way that would be a thing. There's no, unless they throw a thing, hey, you got to pay $500 and your picture will be on our logo or something.
Gosh.
People would sign. Okay, you're talking about raising funds so you don't do naming rights? There you go. Send over $1,000 and you get your picture. It probably looks like this. Like
even smaller. Here's what they probably do. They do something where, like where they do those mosaics that turn into something where you don't see all the faces.
Yep.
And maybe they find some way to incorporate it into... Well, it wouldn't be the numbers because of legibility reasons, but maybe they do it the rest of the jersey and the rest of the pants and the helmet.
Or maybe it's just everybody's name instead of pictures.
Now, okay, maybe that, of course, then we're in the era of privacy concerns. Like, so do you really want someone to buy a jersey that has your name on it? Because people are going to want to buy these jerseys, too.
Oh, then they're probably going to sue that I should get money off of that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it suddenly gets to a thicket on that, and that probably wouldn't happen.
Because nobody likes to have fun, so...
Something out there. Something like Okay. So it's probably not going to be that.
No.
I mean, is it going to be like a big, like, piece of
It
stock
can't be a
paper?
big piece of paper. That would just look so dumb, too. But it's something with owners.
With, like, the borderline of, like, whatever on the stock, and there's, like, the decorations. Would that be, like, the stripes or something?
The only thing I could think of, and I don't know if this would fit, but I'm trying to think of some connection to the ownership, is if you go to your history, is it the Hungry Five Packers, or the Hungry, like the 5 people that saved essentially the Packers franchise and made it into a stock?
Right.
Cheryl, is it some play on that?
Maybe.
I don't know.
That might require a little too much explanation, too. And I know Nike's behind a lot of the rivalries stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're huge on storytelling. It seems like every time anything changes on any uniform that they have, there has to be a meaning behind whatever it is. It could be just like,
'cause the nickname is the Hungry Five.
right. So they could do that. There could be whereas that might be too complex 15 years ago. Now, because when these come out, there'll be a whole blog list of like the Packers website will have a blog on that, blah, 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 blah. And that might be enough explanation. I think that might be a little too much, because even me, fairly historically minded, I barely know about the Hungry Five.
Mm-hmm.
So if I barely know about that, I think casual fan might be like, whoa, who? Now I would be glad that they'd be educated about that.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'd be inclined to say no, but on the other hand, I don't really know a better story. So maybe that could be the best one to go.
Because it does relate to the owners, because that's the Hungry Five that got it to be because Lambeau's a part of the Hungry Five. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something ownership-wise. It's just...
Because I was thinking tailgating, but that's not ownership. It's the same, but it's
what's uniqueness about the Packers compared to everybody else? It's the ownership.
Right.
That's the only thing that I can...
And it's the people. It's the fans.
Yeah.
But then I'm back to mosaic jersey of fan faces.
Yeah.
This is tough. Which I guess it's not predictable, so that's kind of cool.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah. In retrospect, given, again, how the rivalries are supposed to be about, like, either the team, a history of the team, or the city, I guess this kind of is working out in a good way. Like, because, again, we were thinking, what would it be? Cheese or deer hunting? Probably not paper manufacturing, a little too bland. Probably not meat.
Beer.
Not meat packing.
Yeah.
Definite stay away on that one. So tough one.
I'm not quite sure.
I'll be intrigued though. At least this makes me think, or it dovetails with what I'd said before about how they're probably going to keep the colors in some capacity.
Yeah.
Again, it's not going to be silver and brown or something weird.
Or they're not going to go back to the blue and or blue and gold or whatever.
They probably are one of the few teams that could do something like that because they've embraced that history relatively recently, but they still probably wouldn't, especially if like the rivalries game is against the Lions. Then you get blue versus blue, and that would get confusing. As much as they've already kind of popped the seal on that by having the Bears wear, again, their home jerseys at Lambeau, that's a step too far.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the NFL wants consistent branding. Most people associate the Packers with green and gold. So it's probably going to be some sort of greenish, goldish thing. And after that, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's keeping us guessing, which I guess is it's getting people to talk about it, and that's kind of the
They've generally done a good job with it. Like, as much as I have and will always deride the winter warning thing, and that could have been done better. I think it's just, well, why are you doing it in the summer? I kind of understand why, but why? Mm-hmm. And you're also trend hopping. Let's be real. Mm-hmm. Icy whites. They, by and large, the Packers do a good job with this. Right. I know Nike's part of this too. They're hit and miss. I think I'll reserve judgment. It's probably the best I could say.
All right, before you have to get going here in a little bit, I do want to talk a little bit of Bucks because we've talked quite a bit about. First of all, I've I think I've talked about it a lot just to get because Lori Nichols' 3-part piece on Giannis was very, very good. I don't think there is a coincidence that ESPN decided to drop theirs yesterday, which was kind of a different approach and such,
Yes.
where you could go to unnamed sources or you could go straight to the source himself and Giannis with local reporting from Lori Nickel. And we went through it a lot and such, but now Doc Rivers yesterday not answering his future, but he did answer his future. He's retiring.
Yeah.
He pretty much said it. So what do you make of the whole Giannis situation right now? You know, in the last piece, he said 100% there's a chance that he would entertain coming back. And we know family is a big thing. He had said multiple times he loves Milwaukee because he doesn't need a security team. He wants that privacy with his family. He says Milwaukee gives him that. He's not going to have that if he goes to New York or L.A. or wherever. But where does the winning outweigh the comfortability factor with it? From all the stuff, what kind of do you think there's still a chance Giannis suits up for the Bucks next year?
I still do. I keep remembering what Jim Wisharski said. He said this again within the past couple days. If the Bucks want to keep him, they will keep him.
That's where I feel like
That's it. That's it.
It's up to the ownership.
Yeah.
If they want him, he'll be there.
We're so used to player
Players demanding to leave
Yeah,
and kind of controlling the situation.
Yeah,
and
and
such.
try to think what's the player empowerment era that we're in right now. And I think in a lot of cases it's because owners are just like, yeah, okay, you're going to cause a problem. We'll get rid of you. Fine.
James Harden.
Yep. I don't know that applies to every single owner. I think the Bucks owners are smart enough, obviously.
Even Jimmy Haslam.
Most of the Bucks owners are smart enough to. Honestly, I kind of worry for the Bucks if he ever becomes a controlling owner. I mean, Browns
again, if we use kind of an ESPN piece from a few weeks ago, there's some people that feel like he already is, even though he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Going to run this franchise into the ground. But it just takes one owner to be like, no, you are going to keep playing for us throughout the duration. And maybe that owner or ownership group, I suppose we should say, to decide that if that's what they want to do, then fine, that is what they're going to do. But I feel more sour about the dynamic after what has come out over the past couple weeks between the stories, between with the Players Association.
Yeah.
I know the slap in the face was like the big headline quote. At the same time, like,
But is he wrong? I don't like.
No.
I think Edens is saying something that we all kind of assumed and thought. You know, so I guess if he does take that as a slap, that's Giannis. But I think I was saying, yeah, he's right. It should be that way, to be honest with you.
probably, yeah.
I don't know about the whole Giannis saying he's only talked to Edens once via Zoom. Haslam was like twice, and okay, I get that. You know, maybe it's lesser than what it was, you know, throughout the years. But I mean, I'd be curious to know how many other players talk to owners on a regular basis.
And I don't know.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, some might be different than others.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
The dynamics it's like the thing where you probably think because we associate them together in our minds, we presume, oh, they're all around each other. Doc Rivers is always talking to Giannis. They're always talking to Wes Edens and Haslam.
Because remember, they don't even live in Milwaukee, so that's the other part.
No. I mean, let's also remember, like I know a fair amount more about Wes Edens because of my Aston Villa fandom. So he's going to be involved with arguably a more important team, valuations, world significance. It's true. They're not Manchester United or Chelsea or Liverpool.
Yeah.
But Aston Villa is a Premier League team that could be going back to the Champions League. That's a way bigger deal. So Wes Edens got a lot of his attention focused over in the UK right now. Plus all the other stuff he does. I just mentioned it's two prominent sports interests.
Not every owner's like Jerry Jones, where they are like front and
No,
center,
they
every
are
involved.
very multidimensional. So you're not Wes Edens isn't hanging out in Shorewood all the time. But I think the end is coming sooner. Maybe a lot of this is on Doc Rivers, but Doc Rivers is going to take care of this by retiring. Okay, fine. I don't know that would end all of this, and so I think it might be best for everyone if Giannis does move on. I'm not sure if it's best for Giannis, honestly, but what he's saying, I think he might kind of want to stay, but I think
that's what somebody, I thought it was a good point a couple of days ago. We were talking about this. The listener said, I think Giannis is going to go, but I think that might be the end of Giannis's career, like in terms of if his family missing the first 2 months of this season really affected him that much, and you go back to 2020 where he thought about quitting in the COVID bubble, I mean, how much is this going to affect him if he's in New York or Los Angeles or something, and he's, he can go to a place in Milwaukee and not have paparazzi waiting outside for him. You go to New York or something, you're going to have people with cameras constantly surrounding
Stephen A.
you.
is going to be talking about him every day.
Yeah.
If he's a Knick.
Yeah. And, I mean, where's the balance then for you? What's more important? And I get his
Each their
frustration.
own.
Like he wants to play right now, which I think all of us just following Giannis, that doesn't surprise anybody, right? And also, too, I think if family is that big of a deal with him, which we know, of course he's going to want to be on the court with his other brother Alex now playing, and Thanasis. Of course Giannis wants to be out there and say, I got to play in an NBA game with two of my brothers. Put yourself in those shoes. Would anybody else think that's a cool thing? 100%. Lakers did it with LeBron drafting Bronny James.
Yeah.
Anybody in their right mind would want that opportunity if they could. And Giannis is that close from having it. I mean, he's sitting on the sidelines. Even if it's for a minute.
I wonder what the last game is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we should read too much from that, but I think we could read something from that based on how that goes.
Yep.
Because I keep thinking, have we seen the last Giannis Antetokounmpo game with the Bucks? And it may have happened earlier this year.
Yeah.
We may never see it again. Depends on how the rest of his career goes. Let's say that it is his last one, though. I wonder if he comes back for like one final. I'm jumping ahead here, but comes back for one final season, and it could be 6-7 years from now, 9 years from now, as a final season with the Bucks, or signs like football, a one-day contract so he can get on the court one last time. So it's not his last Bucks game was having an awkward injury in the middle of winter, and he didn't realize it at the time, and then everything got weird after that. So I don't know, but I kind of think it needs to be resolved in some other way. And I think more than just Doc Rivers is going to be gone.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure if it's going to be John Horst. Odd to say.
Because they really like him.
They do. I was almost going to say it's going to be Horst, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there's got to be some more switch up beyond just, put it this way, the Bucks are not just going to be with a new coach next year and that's it. Something a lot more is going to happen.
Right. All right. Good stuff. We got to take a quick break. Plenty more to get to, though. We'll be right back after these few words. The big sale continues to roll along at Hy-Vee, going on from right now to April 12th. So you still got a few days to take advantage of some amazing deals going on. Like, for example, you've got those 42 count of Frito-Lay multi-pack snacks for just $18. Perfect if you got like a ball practice or you need a quick snack and such, especially for the kiddos. That's my kids' thing right there. 100 count of Hy-Vee coffee, the K-Cups, if you need a quick cup of Joe for just $29.99. That's less than 30 cents a piece for a cup of coffee, for crying out loud. So a bunch of other stuff, including some barbecue pellets for the pellet grill. They've got that on sale. 18-pack of Sunny D juice drinks for just $6.99. Then that $4.99 for the 40-pack water pack over there, too. Again, perfect for if you got kids on the go, especially this time of year and such. So make sure you are following the Hy-Vee Facebook page for all their latest deals and sales going on. And don't forget, you could save some money at the gas pump by shopping at Hy-Vee with their fuel perks. So final call for any of your big moments in sports history that you remember. We're doing this today because Hank Aaron hit number 715, and we talk about different sports history moments that we remember where we were at, what we were doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And actually, just a couple days ago was one of them that I mentioned that I wish I remembered, but I was too young. But it was the anniversary, April 6, 1993, when Reggie White signed a 4-year deal with the Packers. I wish I was old enough to remember that. I was too young. I don't. So what are some of your, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh my God, that was one of the best, top historical history moments, sports history moments of all time. It could just be something that, for whatever reason, has stuck in your mind for the longest time. And you could remember almost everything about that day. And we've had a lot of really, really, really cool stories. And a big thanks to everybody who has shared those stories. And just, it's been awesome. So, and then one of the last final calls here too. So again, thanks to Paul. We are giving away this Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. If you're watching on the video stream, I'm holding it up right now. All right. And since it is a Griffey rookie card, we're doing this a little bit different. Instead of doing a little trivia, got to work for this one a little bit. Text it to me, or go on my Facebook page, or you can do it on the video stream. Screenshot that you are following the YouTube page. That'll be one entry. So you could just screenshot where it says, you're subscribed and such. It doesn't cost you anything. Screenshot that you are following the Man Cave podcast on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Screenshot that. Send me those screenshots. Each one is worth an entry. I did post this up on my Facebook page. If you'd rather just comment on that with your screenshot, that works too. So that's going to be up for a few hours today. And then we'll announce the winner tomorrow morning, or I'll reach out to the winner too. So a little bit different instead of a trivia question, and I'm willing to throw in some sports talk swag too. So how about that? Okay. All right. We got to take a quick break as we got to play a little catch up here. Get back on schedule. So we got Brew Crew taking on the Red Sox for a rubber match today. Shane Drowan's going to make his major league debut. He came over from the Red Sox as part of the Caleb Durbin trade. He's going to get the start for the Brew Crew today. Also, we've got 3 starts now of Jacob Mizorowski under our belt. Give me a scouting report. Have you been impressed? Has he exceeded kind of your expectations so far? Under exceeded? That's not a word. I get it. Or right where you kind of thought? What has been your 3-game impression so far on the Miz kid? Let's hit that up. We'll take a quick break and be right back in just a couple minutes. With spring rolling into Eau Claire, it's time to get back outside and enjoy the season. And whether you are heading to the range or getting ready for hunting season, or you're just gearing up for some time in the great outdoors, Tilden Gun is your local stop for selection, service, and expertise. They offer a wide range of firearms and accessories, along with knowledgeable staff who can help you find exactly what fits your needs. No pressure, just straight answers and real guidance. It's about making sure that you are comfortable, confident, and ready for your next outing. Spring is the season to get prepared, to get organized, and to get outside. And Tilden Gun is here to help you do just that. Stop in and see what they've got in stock and why so many in the Chippewa Valley trust them year after year. Tilden Gun in Eau Claire, your hometown source for gear, service, and experience. All right. So Brew Crew looking to get another series win today, 12:35. Coverage being at 12, again, on your radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Brewers are not going to be starting, Chad Patrick. He will get to start on Friday. If he were to start today, it'd be a little bit of a short rest because the Brewers had the doubleheader on Saturday. So Brewers are electing to call up, and Jared Koenig is going to be on the injured list, so they called up Shane Drowan, who was a part of the deal with Caleb Durbin. So he's going to be pitching against his former team. It seems like this is going to be a guy that might be kind of just an opener, if you will. You know, give you a couple innings, maybe one turn through the rotation, possibly two. When you look at what he's done so far with the Nashville Sounds, I mean, it's been limited action so far, and that's what it feels like. It's probably going to be a couple of innings at the most right now. So maybe a piggyback start. Maybe we get to see Ashby a little bit. I know Dale Hall pitched yesterday. So, I mean, and this is the thing we've talked about with the Brewers, with their bullpen, is the fact that they've got guys in there that can, give you a couple of innings. So Drowan so far has just started one game for the Nashville Sounds. He has played in 3 games overall, but a couple games actually. Where is it? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was getting sidetracked there for a little bit. But even though he's gotten one start, he's only pitched 3 1/3. He's given up 3 hits, couple earned runs. So when you look at his ERA, it's like, oh, man, it's like 5-something. But again, he really, he pitched in 3 1/3 innings, and so it's going to be a little bit inflated, right? So what to expect from him? What kind of pitcher is he? Now, when we look back at that trade with Caleb Durbin, Kyle Harrison obviously was the talk. He was the guy, but there were some in the know, some who really, follow these guys with a fine tooth and comb in that. And they're like, watch out for this guy. This might be the surprise. This might be the one that catches everybody off guard for how well he could be. And just looking at a little bit of his scouting reports from like Baseball Savant and such, this was his 2026 scouting report from Baseball Savant. Drowan worked just 72 2/3 innings in 3 seasons at Florida State because of control woes and the pandemic, but the Red Sox liked him enough to give him 3rd-round money as a 5th-rounder in 2020. The White Sox grabbed him in the 2023 Rule 5 draft, but returned him to Boston after he had nerve decompression surgery on his shoulder the following February. He missed 3 months with forearm inflammation in 2025, but logged a 2.27 ERA with 67 strikeouts and 47 2/3 innings at AAA when healthy, which enabled him to claim a spot on the 40-man roster in November. 3 months later, he was traded to the Brewers. That effectiveness in AAA came because of his fastball and slider were better than they had previously been in Pro Ball. his heater gained a tick in velocity, sitting at 93 to 94 miles per hour and touching 96, and played better up in the strike zone. It had one of the best whiff rates among AAA four-seamers, despite the average velocity, because he disguises the pitch well in his motion. His mid-80s slider showed improved action, enabling it to get more chases as well as in-zone swings and misses. His upper 70s curveball gives him a second solid breaking pitch, though his fading mid-80s changeup still shows a tad more promise. His upper 80s cutter, which has more ride than typical pitches in the class, got hammered last season due to poor command. He cut his walk rate to 8.4% at AAA, down from 11.7% earlier in his career, and he thrived by working ahead in the count more often. He still has a ceiling of a back-of-the-rotation starter, but now appears to have a greater chance of reaching it. So there is still the possibility that he could develop into a starter. But I just wonder right now with his role, is he going to be kind of give you a couple innings? Especially, when they get back to the regular rotation and such. And if he performs well, do you keep him in the pen and he comes in that way or in that aspect? Maybe a little bit raw yet, but this is another young pitcher that has a lot of talent. And I think what has a lot of people excited about him is he's going to a Brewers system, a Brewers pitching lab that has continued success of developing these younger pitchers and making them very, very good pitchers. Now, I hope if he does have a day where it's just a little bit off, there's going to be nerves, okay? He's making his first career start. It's going up against a team that's had him for a few years. They traded him. It's going to be at Fenway Park. There is, of course, going to be some nerves. And I hope that, if it is, knock on wood, hopefully it's not, but if it is a bad start, I hope that, fans aren't going to say, well, that was a bust of a move. Maybe like some are saying about Brandon Sproat and such. But he's got to get experience some way and somehow, right? So let's see what the kid has. Let's see if we can see something with this kid. On the flip side, the Brewers are going to be going up against Shane Gray or Sonny Gray. Why do I keep saying, I'm trying to combine these two pitchers into one, apparently. Sonny Gray, for crying out loud. Brewers have a ton of experience going up against Sonny Gray. Obviously, spending some time in the Central and such. Cardinals recently, now with Boston. But you've got a lot of Brewers players with double-digit at-bats going up against Sonny Gray. That includes, let me bring it up here. That includes the likes of Christian Yelich, Sal Frelick, Bryce Terang, with a right-handed pitcher of Sonny Gray. You would imagine with Bryce Terang getting the night off last night, Yelich coming in as a pinch hitter, Garrett Mitchell getting the night off, they're going to be in the lineup. You're going to see a lot of lefty hitters in the lineup today going up against Sonny Gray. Frelick's going to be in there. Bowers is going to be back in there. Right? We're going to see those guys, a lot of those lefties in there. Probably maybe Hamilton gets the starts at third or shorts. Maybe even shorts. Does Ortiz get another day off and then they go with Renfroe at third because he's a switch hitter? Could they go really, really lefty heavy? Don't be surprised if they do. But I'm excited to see Drew. I'm excited to see what the kid has. And maybe potentially what the future could hold for him within this Brewer system. All right, with that, let's take our final. Okay, we got the lineup. No Terang. Okay, no Terang. So yesterday they did say he was dealing with a foot and ankle injury. So, all right, maybe give him another day off. They got the off day tomorrow. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but man, not having Bryson here. Ugh. So it's going to be Frelick leading off. I like that. Mitchell, Yelich, Bowers. You got all lefties right there, the first four. Sanchez is getting a start at catcher. And then with no Terang, that puts Hamilton at second. Ortiz gets the start at short. Lockridge is going to get left field, and Renhefro is getting at third. So, but yeah, the first four batters, lefties. So, all right, maybe something to watch here with that Terang ankle foot injury that apparently he had been battling or suffered in the first game against Boston. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. So, all right, quick break, and we'll wrap up by making some picks. We'll be right back after these few words. Don't forget to get your 2-person team signed up for the 6th annual Casper Classic coming up on August 7th. So we'll do, you can go to WAYYradio.com, sportstalk1051.com. The icon's right there on the new website or new webpage. So get your 2-person team in right now. A lot of you have already been signing up, so big thanks for that. If you are interested, if you are like, hey, I'd love to help out Backyard Dreams and maybe be a sponsor or donate some prizes and such, would love to talk. All right, so you can reach out for that as well. So, but it's coming up. I know it's August, but think about it. Summer flies on by, right? It's going to be here before you know it. So make sure you reserve your team before it gets too late, because those spots definitely go quick. All right, let's wrap it up with some picks. We'll start off in the NHL world. Buffalo taking on the Rangers of New York. I'll go with the Sabres. We got Washington taking out Toronto. Give me the Caps. Edmonton, San Jose. I will go Edmonton. Let's go to the NBA world. We've got the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Cleveland Cavs. I'm going to go with Cleveland. Memphis at Denver. Give me the Nuggets. Portland, San Antonio. Give me the Spurs. OKC and the Clippers. Give me the Thunder. Dallas taking on Phoenix. I'm going to go with Phoenix. Timberwolves visiting the Orlando Magic. I'll go Magic in this one. And Milwaukee at Detroit. Yeah, give me Detroit for that. Sorry. But let's go to the baseball world. Padres and the Pirates. I'm going to go with the Padres. Royals taking on the Guardians. I'll go Royals. Baltimore and the White Sox. Give me Baltimore. Seattle and Texas. I'll go with the Mariners. Dodgers and Toronto. Shohei versus Dylan. I'm going to go with the Dodgers. Houston and Colorado. I'll go with the Astros. Phillies, Giants. I'll go Phillies. Cardinals, Nationals. I'll go Nationals for this one. Braves, Angels. I'll go Braves. No fighting no more, Braves and Angels. By the way, if you're going to throw fists, stop the slapping. You know what I'm talking about? Look at the fight, the bench is clearing brawl from last night between St. Louis and Washington. It's like two cats fighting sometimes when we get to these brawls. You know, where the cat like kind of puts his head back and just flails its arms like this. It's kind of what that looks like half the time here. Come on now. Arizona versus the Mets. I'll go Mets. Cubs, Tampa Bay. We'll go Tampa Bay. Cincinnati and Miami. Man, we need the Reds to lose. I know it's only like 10 games in, but come on now. Let's go Miami. Why not? A's taking on the Yankees. I'll go Yankees. Detroit, Minnesota. I'm going to go with Detroit. And then Brew Crew, wrapping it up. It's Boston. Why not? Shea Drawn. He pitches well. Doesn't get the win, but Brewers pick up the win. So those are your picks for this morning. All right, coming up tomorrow. Here's your homework assignment, kiddos. I'm going to be grading you. I'm going to be grading you hard tomorrow, okay? Let's got to take over Thursday, okay? We got to take over Thursday. I need some topics from you. Think outside the box. Make them fun, okay? But what are some topics that we should be talking about for tomorrow? All right? This is your chance. This is your opportunity to act kind of like a producer and such. So send those on over. You can start sending them on over right now if you'd like. You can text them. You can throw them up on the Section 105 chat on our YouTube video feed, whatever the case may be. But that's the big one. We got Badger men's hockey to hit up tomorrow, too, with the Frozen Four. Hopefully we're talking about another Brewers series win. So we'll hit that up all tomorrow. Final call. Final call right now. Okay? Screenshot to me that you are following/subscribing to the YouTube channel Man Cave TV. Or just look on my name on YouTube, youtube.com/@, like the one in your email, Dan Kasper, Kasper with a K. Screenshot that, or if you do both, you get double the entries. screenshot you are following and or following the Man Cave podcast, like on Apple or Spotify. You could go to my Facebook page, post your screenshots there because I put a post up there, or you could text them on over, and you are going to be entered to win this Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. Okay? Got quite a few of you already doing it, but if you do both, you can get multiple entries. So we're going to keep that up for a few hours yet for today. So go do that if you want to win this Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. Again, big thanks to Paul for doing that for our Wednesday segments. If you missed our conversation with Ty from Slab Factory, it was awesome. Great info about the hobby. That will be up on the latest episode of the Man Cave podcast. If you missed parts of the show, other parts of the show, remember DK Show podcast, that is available as well. It breaks it down by each hour. So if you missed the first hour, you missed the second hour, that is up on the DK Show podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And all that is also on the YouTube page as well. So big thanks to everybody for sharing stories about your favorite sports or the sports memory that you can think about all the time. You can remember most of that day. Some fantastic stories, some great stories, some personal stories too. So big thanks for that. That's what I love about this too, is we get to share some of that to talk about that. So big thanks everybody for doing that. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Same place, same time tomorrow morning. See you then.